It's like, why don't we just pay Chase to come?
What'd she say? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live at kernradio.com. Chris Burdick, the podcast, this 18th day of February. And as usual, did I say it's Tuesday? I think I did. It's hump day. It's Tuesday in my mind because we weren't here on Monday. An Emerson poll is very fascinating, examining our gubernatorial race. We'll get into that as Republicans have an absolute shot at least getting one candidate in the general election. We'll talk about that in just a second. It is a Wednesday, so Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, the IT company that powers Kern Radio Studios. Call them today if you need any IT help at 241-0638, 241-0638, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. We'll talk to them at the bottom of the hour. It's a Wednesday, so Howard Marcus will be here. And you will not believe how James Tellerico, I don't know his name, Tellerico, the Texas Senate candidate on the Democratic side, this thing exploded. And, you know, you're right, I'm the mush. I couldn't predict the Dodgers playing Garces. But let me tell you something. My political prognostications are pretty accurate. And I'm telling you, this is going to be the funniest primary in the world. It just got underway, early voting. It's March 3rd down in Texas, the Republican and Democratic primary. Remember, we used to have that. We used to have common sense elections where you had a Democrat and a Republican going up against one another in the general. But maybe that helps us, because when we get into this gubernatorial poll by Emerson, there's a chance that both Chad Bianco, the Riverside County Sheriff, and Steve Hilton can both be the two candidates, guaranteeing us a Republican. It's not likely, but it's possible. We'll go over those numbers in just a second. But this Tellerico thing has exploded. And again, there's some polls that have Jasmine Crockett, she's another Democratic candidate, up as many as 9 points. And I'm telling you right now, she's going to lose. And this is the fork in the road. I'll explain when we get there. Barack Obama says UFOs exist. I'm a little late on this. He said this over the weekend. I didn't get to it. We had a really busy show yesterday. But you're going to hear from the former president. And I believe him. And there is another former president who insists, fairly recent president who has passed, who insisted while he was alive that he witnessed the UFO. And I have a cousin in South Carolina, my late cousin George Davis. He was a music teacher up at Columbia, South Carolina, who claimed he saw one when he was a kid, when we were teenagers. And everybody, just laughed at him. I truly believe, I think it is the ultimate egotistical thought to believe that somehow we're the only life in this gargantuan galaxy of ours. You will hear from the president. And our Black History Month moment today focuses on Garrett Augustus Morgan Jr., As I explained going into this Black History Month this year, we're doing African Americans that you all have never heard of, and that most African Americans are aware of what their merit was. I'll explain that in the 5. We do begin with the latest on Savannah Guthrie. There's just a couple of things I want to touch upon just because they're in the news, but I don't really want to spend a segment on them. And that's the Nancy Guthrie thing. They're now TMZ, and I didn't even get the audio because I don't want to hear it anymore. TMZ got another ransom note. I don't think at some point I'm starting to believe that it wasn't even a kidnapping. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's going on. If it was a kidnapping, I don't think these guys communicating with TMZ are the ones responsible. They first said in one of the 4 now that TMZ has received that, Think International, and the guy said, I've seen her with them, but I'm on the loose because they'll come after me. And how do you have knowledge of this? And yet they haven't whacked your ass already, and you're secretly negotiating with TMZ when you don't even have to. The reward is $100,000, and this guy allegedly at one point wanted 50, 60 grand. Well, finally, the FBI is up to $100,000. So what's the problem? And again, you know how I feel about this. I think the tragedy has already occurred. Let's just put it like that. And the other issue that I saw right before I was leaving the house, KGT, Jason Kotowski was reporting that the AG's office is appealing Zach Scrivener's mental diversion program, the ruling by the judge. And the reason I'm not spending any time on it, because it's stupid. It's stupid. You sent down a rookie. You did not charge Scrivener with a sexual crime. You know what it's like? It's like Shohei Ohtani steals third base in the 10th inning, down 6-5. He's clearly safe. The Dodgers walk off the field. The pundits and the internet go crazy, say Shohei was safe. The next day, the Dodger organization goes to MLB and say, we want to appeal this. And they're like, what are you talking about? Yeah, he was safe, but you should have appealed it on the field. That's exactly what's going on here. What the judge is going to tell the AG's office is, what do you want me to do? You want me to create a charge for you? Why didn't you charge the man with a sexual charge? You specifically charged him with an offense that would provide him with a mental diversion. Get out of my court. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm telling you, look up Joe Penny in the AG's office. He's young, he's a rookie, he's pretty reliable sources. This guy has no idea what he's doing. And as Teresa Goldman tightened me up a couple of weeks ago, or whenever it was we were talking about this, H.A. Sala's on their radar. They know about H.A. Sala. They knew they were sending this kid in the lion's den with a weak charge, and now they're banging their shoe on the table saying, we want retribution. Well, it ain't going to happen. You know what? You're not going to like what I'm about to say. Scrivener deserves mental diversion. He does. He absolutely does. He spent a lot of money, probably not his own. He got the best attorney, perhaps in California, certainly in Kern County, and he whooped the AG's ass. They didn't even refute Sala's forensic psychologist. And now, after the fact, you come back and say, we want to appeal? Get the courthouse. Scrivener deserves what he got. As ridiculous as that sounds, it's all on the AG and the stupidity of that office. And now, after the fact, you can come crying, we want to appeal, we want to appeal. Get out of my courthouse, says Judge Bailey. But we begin, really, I just want to get that away. We begin with this Emerson poll, because I don't know about y'all, but I'm starting to believe Steve Hilton is leading the pack with 17 percentage points, 17.1. Eric Swalwell is trailing with 14%. Chad Bianco is third, 13.5. And as I explained, I don't know whether it was Kathy or Teresa Golden who told me, I think it was Kathy, who thought that Katie Porter still had a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. I have a better chance of becoming governor than Katie Porter. You know, people dismiss likability, which I believe was Ronald Reagan's greatest quality. His likability, his humor, his off-the-cuff just optimistic nature. And that, that's what did in Hillary. She just wasn't likable. You can't say that, even Trump will say, he said yesterday, she's a competent. He was bagging on AOC. He was saying, at least Hillary's competent. She's smart. She's just not likable. She's just not. And Katie Porter's not likable. And there's a lot to go for that. Plus, and ladies, I'm not trying to shame, but I say the same thing about men. We don't elect fat people. We just don't. Okay, you're right. I'm body shaming. Point to me a fat person in politics, other than J.D. Pritzker, who is apparently on weight-losing drugs. They asked him about it, and he was, I should have got that audio because it's classic. He's like, well, I really, because he rolled out something in Illinois. He's the governor of Illinois, rolled out something that made it cheaper to get these drugs, and now they're in pill form. And he's clearly lost some weight. He's making a run at 28. You better believe that. And he listens to the Ralph Bailey show. That's why he's losing weight, because we don't elect fat people. And he was like, he dodged the question. Like he was ashamed of it. There's no shame in taking, what do they call them? JPSL, JP, Viagra, orthopedic, I don't know what the hell they call it. But it's what Serena's on. It's what Chuck Barkley's on. It's nothing to be ashamed of. For a lot of people, it's a matter of life and death. It's the difference between heart failure, diabetes, and living a long life. Nothing to be ashamed of. But we do not elect fat people. And if you can point to me one fat person other than William Howard Taft in let me make sure I get this right. Harding in 20, Wilson in 16, Coolidge in 12. Roosevelt took over for 08, 04? 04, William Henry Taft? Please stand by. This is going to bug me. I can't find my phone. This is going to bug me. I can't go any further until we find out when William Henry Howard Taft was elected president. Hey, Siri, show me President Taft. Please stand by. Don't go anywhere.
Here's some info about William Howard Taft.
1909 to 1913. He's the last fat guy that we elected. Period, end of sentence. You can't point to me another fat guy we've elected, or fat woman for that matter. And that's just reality. She sank all the way to 4. And then Tom Steyer, who's spending a ton of money. He's already spent like $21 million. This guy's got more money. He could never spend this in 3 lifetimes. And we're not even, our primary, the Texas primary is in March. Ours is not till June. And he's already spent $21 million. He's in almost double digits at 8.8. And then nobody else is even close. Xavier Becerra is at 3. Antonio Villaraigosa is at 2.8. Michael Mahan is at 3. You could put all these people together and they couldn't get to some of the top vote getters. And what is separating, it's unfortunate, we talked about this either Friday, I can't remember, but what has separated Hilton, I believe, from Chad Bianco is a really bad look. And that is Black Lives Matter. Hilton found some video of Sheriff Bianco kneeling with some Black Lives Matter group. And let me ask you all, what do you all think of BLM? Yeah, that's what I thought. And I think that's the reason, because the last poll, Bianco was leading. And now he is sunk to 3rd, trailing Swalwell and Hilton. And that little kneel down, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like it's a Colin Kaepernick move. What do y'all think of Colin Kaepernick? Yeah, I thought so. You see what I'm saying? So Bianco may not, I hate, because I know Sheriff Youngblood listens, as much as he didn't want to hear this, and Angela Martin and the group supporting him, this might be, you might see some commercials of Bianco kneeling with BLM. That ain't going to play well. That's not going to play well. Not really. But it's going to be a close race. There's an opportunity for them both to get in there. Swalwell's in trouble. I haven't really followed up on the story. Have you guys followed up on the story? Feel free to call the show and type me up. This thing about this poem that Swalwell wrote that they're publishing, I guess it's kind of nasty and weird and stupid, and why he published it, I don't know. I just think he's a flawed character. And if he's who Hilton and Bianco have to beat, I think we've got a chance. I even think we have a chance in the general election. I really, truly do. But we will see what we will see. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, a reporter asks a question that once again highlights my political genius. That's right. That's what I said. Is this on? That's what I said. My political genius. Absolute genius. I straight when we come back. Then at the bottom of the hour, the Van Alstynes, owner operator of Adaptive Networks, the IT group that keeps us on the air. I'll tell you that, boy. And if you need IT help, call them at 241-0638, 241-0638, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. You're listening on a Wednesday, right? Okay. To the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Big Mike?
Going to force a showdown. Also look at the SAVE Act. Is there a chance that the Senate will take this to the floor and force a filibuster? We'll talk about it on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KER.
Do you have an event coming up? Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's graduation, whether it's a corporate event, a wedding, a family gathering. There's only one caterer that you should turn to, and that's Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. Big Mike is a local boy out of Garces High School who spent a couple of years in his early years in the National Football League. And now, for the last 2 decades, he's been dominating the catering business. Mike comes with his rig, his crew. They do the cooking, they do the serving, they do the cleaning. They can create a custom event from start to finish. It's your special day. Let them work for you. And Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue specializes in catering, so they handle the food while you enjoy your guests. Locally owned, passionate about his craft, and Mike is all about quality meat and that delicious flavor. And when you want your event to be talked about for the food, not the stress, think Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. Call him today at 393-5507, 393-5507. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue, and after 9 years, they're still raging hot.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, on board and on shore, with small ships bring travelers to your destination.
Thank you.
There's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Karen Levitt hosted the press briefing this morning. Fox carries just about every morning, right around 9:30, 10 o'clock Pacific time. And one of the reporters in the back of the room posed this question. Listen carefully.
Mention two things: DHS closed and the SAVE Act IDs. Both of these could get solved in 15 minutes if Senate leader John Thune simply got rid of this phony 60-vote cloture rule and got 51 votes, and that would be the end of it, because everyone in this room knows if the Democrats take over, they'll get rid of that rule in 90 minutes. They already tried it one time, and the two Democratic senators that stopped it are no longer there, Manchin and Sinema. President Trump is backing a lot of these senators for re-election, and yet they will not get rid of the 60-vote cloture rule, which is holding everything up. What is the president's position on John Thune in the Senate finally getting rid of this so this legislation can get moved?
Well, the president has a good relationship with Senate Majority Leader John Thune. They keep in very close contact, and they work together all of the time. I hear your passion in your voice, and I know it's shared by many Americans across the country, including the president himself. He wants to see the SAVE Act voted, and he's expressed that both publicly to all of you, the American people, but also privately in his conversations with Senate Majority Leader Thune and many other members of Congress as well.
Her answer wasn't really the bite. I should have told Chris not to even include her answer, because the point of that audio was, let's play it one more time.
You mentioned two things: DHS closed and the SAVE Act IDs. Both of these could get solved in 15 minutes if Senate leader John Thune simply got rid of this phony 60-vote cloture rule and got 51 votes, and that would be the end of it, because everyone in this room knows if the Democrats take over, they'll get rid of that rule in 90 minutes.
Okay. Do you hear what he said? Everybody in this room, some of the best reporters in the nation, knows that if the Democrats win the House and the Senate, I'm paraphrasing, they'll change the filibuster, the cloture rule in, what do you say, 15 minutes? It's funny. I've heard somebody say that. I just can't remember. You, Chris, do you remember who said that? I cannot for the life of me remember where I heard that somewhere. Oh, that's right. Right here on whatever the hell this show's called. I've tried to tell you, the minute, if the midterms were today, we get destroyed in both the House and the Senate. And if that happens, the first thing they're going to do is end cloture, meaning you need 60 votes to pass, meaning that come December or January of next year, you just need 51 votes or even 50 if they have, well, they won't have the president in 26. So you need 51 votes to pass anything that they want. And what are they going to pass? Let's change the Supreme Court. That's the first thing they will do. And now we'll have 15 members, and the 6 new members will probably be Democratic, I'm guessing. And then they'll go after Puerto Rico and DC. What are they going to do with them, Ralph? They're going to make them states. We will have 104 senators, and 4 of them the 2 from Puerto Rico and the 2 from DC. The 2 from DC are guaranteed to be black, guaranteed. And the 2 from Puerto Rico are going to be Puerto Rican, and they'll be liberal, and they'll be Democrats. I tried to tell you. I know my word's not good enough. Is it good enough from the entire Washington press corps? Everybody in this room knows that the Democrats will change the cloture rule in 15 minutes. So why not do it now and at least get some legislation passed up until November? And if we can get this legislation passed, maybe that'll change the fate of the midterms. Just saying. Just makes sense. Even the president has been pumping this up. We head into the back half of the hour. Our co-conspirator, I don't know what the phrase I'm looking for. The folks from Event Adaptive Networks. I'm absolutely losing it. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne join us live in studio. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Come on in and take off your
With
skin
SRN
and rattle
News,
around
I'm
your
Keith
bones.
Peters in Washington. Authorities say the bodies of 8 backcountry
What's going on,
skiers
Billy?
have been found,
How
but
you doing?
one remains
What's
missing
going on, Pop?
after an avalanche near
Good
Lake
to see you.
Tahoe in
Have a seat.
California. Search and rescue crews were dispatched to the Castle Peak area of the Sierra Nevada after a 911 call reporting an avalanche Tuesday morning. 6 others were found alive. The Transportation Department says more than 550 commercial driving schools in the U.S. that train truckers and bus drivers must close after investigators found they employed unqualified instructors, failed to adequately test students, and had other safety issues. The department announced its latest move to improve safety in the trucking industry on Wednesday. On Wall Street, the Dow by 129 points, the NASDAQ rose 175. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. You might expect more wrecks like this one if people don't follow the advice to slow down in the winter weather driving conditions. A semi and several other vehicles were involved in a wreck about 6 this morning that had part of I-5 shut down near the Fraser Mountain Park Road area. Traffic was diverted onto Highway 138. It was unclear if anyone was seriously hurt. Death threats circulating on social media over the weekend had extra security at both Del Oro and Golden Valley High Schools this week as a precaution. The Kern High School District says they were made aware and contacted Bakersfield Police, and both are looking into it. No arrests announced yet. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Look up in the sky. Yeah, that's what they cry. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's them. It's Paul Sheldon's team, that well-oiled machine of Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Okay, not superpowers, but still thousands of hours.
So you guys got anything to talk about? Because I got
deciphering
something. We got
Medicare's
good
whims,
response from your last
fighting the good fight, learning
we have
what
3
works
people,
right.
which is huge.
Christine,
Call of
Kelly,
Duty.
and Lynn. So it might seem old-fashioned, but hard work with passion most often gives you the win.
Did you get
And the trio that knows are those Medicare pros, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
Yeah.
You know, actually to many, they are superheroes. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Thursday's Armstrong and Getty Show. Mark Zuckerberg took the stand in the social media trial. What did he say? What was his defense? We'll have it for you.
Plus, the worst judge in America. And why are young people choosing porn and OnlyFans over love? The answer's simple. It's fear. Let's start calling it what it is. That in the news of the day on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show. Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
You win!
Is this your song?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys selected this? Okay, I was going to say, you guys need a song.
Yeah.
Well,
And this is it?
well, okay. So of course I
Let me
wanted
first
to do-
introduce you
Oh.
for those that aren't watching. I'm sorry. Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, the IT group that helps us stay on the air right here at AGM. All right, so go ahead. How'd you pick your song?
It's my son's favorite song.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's 4, and him and my daughter will sing this song all the time. Most
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You got good taste.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Let's talk about AI and how that influences the IT industry.
Yeah. So, well, Ryan can talk about it more extensively, but we've seen a huge, obviously, AI is a big buzzword right now in the industry. Our thing with AI in general is just, it's a great tool, but it's only as good as the people who build it and how you use it.
Yeah.
So, I think, making sure that you're using the right AI tools. A lot of times, clients will come to us and say, I think I need AI for this or this. And it's like, that's actually not really what they're needing. And so it's like maybe something automation can fulfill or something like that, instead of investing a bunch of money into AI in the beginning. Plus, as fast as the technology is moving, it's like, wait a few months, you might get this product for free,
Really?
a few months from now.
Yeah.
But
that's the crazy part of AI. We have no idea where it's going.
No,
there's
not
all
at all.
kind of speculation. The ultimate speculation is they're going to take over the world. Have you ever seen iRobot, that movie with Will
Seen
Smith?
it. Yeah.
It's a
Seen
great
it.
film. It really is. Is that even a possibility? I'm getting off topic, but I'm just conjecturing.
I'd say it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
The machines getting to the point where we can't shut them off or shut them down. But it's really just transforming the way we do work now. Our knowledge workers are now enabled to the point that they never have been before, with so much information and so much speed at their fingertips. So it's kind of getting to the point, if you're not using AI, I mean, you're already a little late to the game. But what we've seen is just this exponential growth in the power of these tools. So, for instance, the AI engine that just came out in November, one of the models, the rating, which basically says, if I've had this conversation for, say, the last 2 hours in this chat with the AI, what is the rate at which I can pick the needle in the haystack out of this conversation and say, hey, back 2 hours ago, we said this phrase. What was your response to it? The previous rating was about 15% of finding the needle in the haystack, the accuracy. The newest model that just came out this month, that rating is almost 80%.
Wow.
Finding the needle in a haystack, and the context in which it can do it has increased by 5-fold. So it's 500% more context to find the needle in the haystack, and a five times increase in the accuracy of finding it. So it's massive how fast this technology is evolving. It's like you blink and it's already evolved beyond what we even knew was possible.
Wow.
So I think for like businesses and stuff, they have a lot of document retention and things like that. Like, it can really cut down on just, time searching for documents or whatever, kind of like, how would that apply to a business owner?
Absolutely. So you think of context and AI of how much content, how much in memory. If you and I sat here and had an hour-long conversation, you're only going to remember so much in memory, right? Be able to go back and be like, yeah, I remember you said that, but you may paraphrase it or vaguely remember exactly what we said, what one of the other of us said. But now with the AI, of anywhere in this context, 80% ability to pick that exact piece of the conversation out is absolutely incredible. And then that transfers to all the work that it's doing. You feed it a large data set and go, okay, find me this within the data set without knowing a whole lot about the relationship. So it forms the relationships of the data, it makes all its inferences, and does all the things that would take probably hours for a human to do or a data analyst to do. So the AI is really becoming now our data analysts and able to just do the majority of that.
Tell me if this is a stupid question, but is that how they're going through the Epstein files that have 3 million pages?
Probably. Yeah. You probably, what you can do is you can break it up and chunk it into little pieces so you don't go outside of your context, and you say, okay, take this little chunk, 100 pages and go through it, take another 100 pages and go through it. And then you basically combine those at the end and then put it all together. So it's how you do complex things like going through large sets of, logs, for instance, if you were trying to go through security logs, something of that nature. That's generally how it breaks it up. So it's manageable for the AI.
Yeah. Talking with Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne, the owner operators of Adaptive Networks, the team that we use for our IT needs. Talk about some of your clients. Who are some of your typical clients? Who comes out? Who needs IT work?
Yeah, so it's really just about all small and medium businesses. I would say really the sweet spot for us is probably about 25 to 100 machines on a network. The size of the company could vary based on field operations versus how many people are on computers. And then we do larger clients beyond that 100 usually move into that co-managed where they might have an on-premise resource that's full-time, or one of our resources that we would place there is kind of like full-time support, and then we augment with our staff here. And we do all facets of IT, everything from data center, everything that's in the server room, desktop support, email support, cybersecurity, cloud operations, phone systems, voice over IP, all facets of support like that.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients that we've recently onboarded, they come to us because they're frustrated maybe with their current provider. They're not getting the service that they want, or it's taking days or too long for it to get a response. So I think our client retention is really because of our customer service. Our guys are great. In fact, we just finished, review end of the year reviews, and they're hungry to learn. They're eager to help. They're very thorough when coming in. If you've got an issue, they're going to come in, help fix it, make sure you understand, how to fix it or to not let it happen in the future or something like that.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we teamed up with you guys, just that ability to get it done today. Not, hey, we'll be out there first thing 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That doesn't help us.
Yeah.
We need you out here this afternoon.
Yeah.
Again, talking with Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne. One of the big responses we got from your last appearance here when people heard about their information being held for ransom and you being able to prevent that. We got 3-4 different calls. People panicked about that. Talk a little bit more about that and how you guys fend that off and how you can recover things if people are held ransom or their IT is stolen from them.
Yeah, so it's really a multifaceted approach. I mean, our goal would be to keep it from happening at all in the first place, but that goal is very ambitious because it would be reaching for absolute perfection, which we all know is not possible, especially in the speed at which the cybersecurity landscape is constantly changing. There's constantly new vulnerabilities out there being exploited. So our first is obviously defense mechanism, defense and evasion, and then having a layered approach, having things like air-gapped backups where if the computers get hit, they can't touch the backups. They're physically separated from. So that's become critical now that be the case in these environments because they've gotten so sophisticated once they get a hold of any device on a network of doing reconnaissance and discovery that once they're in, it's almost a guarantee that they're going to hit the entirety of the network. There's always a vulnerability that they're going to find to exploit. It doesn't matter how good of a job we do. There's always some way for them to spider out once they're in. So that's where it's two phases. Obviously, defense. We want to try to avoid it in the first place. There's some proactive preventions you can do, like think of like a canary in a coal mine type of situation. Yeah. So you put little files certain places that you're monitoring, and as soon as that file gets touched, it literally just locks down the system. So whatever system they had compromised, that gets locked down and prevents the spread to other systems. But once they're in, it's kind of a bad situation from there. But yeah, we're pretty much always able to recover. It just it takes time. You have to roll out that disaster response plan. And that's an important thing for companies to understand how they use the technology and what aspects of it are mission critical and need to come online in what order. Because, we need to understand that to make sure we're doing as much as we can to bring a company up to operational as quickly as we can. For some companies, it might be their website is the most critical thing. If they're taking web orders, they might need their website up first. For other companies, it might be email. For another company, it might be their core database that they work in and do interactions. So it varies company to company. So it's really important to have those conversations before disaster strikes,
Yeah.
so that we have a plan and we can just execute that plan.
I think too, like there's lots of different things you can add on, for security, but our baseline security is, I think, the best in town. We had a client, we always recommend best practices is to carry cyber insurance for our clients, and they were rated by Travelers, which is one of the harder cyber insurances to get. And they got a 98% just with our baseline security on there. So it's going to save them money as well in the long run, because that's going to take their vulnerability down, their ratings down. So it'll help in other aspects as well.
And the best thing is preventative. Come to you guys first and let you create the walls that'll prevent this, so you don't have to try to recall stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you can avoid it, avoidance is much cheaper than dealing with a fallout of a cyber attack.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a regulated industry. If you're in regulated, those bills pile up really fast and can lead to things like class action lawsuits, and just things that, kind of small businesses don't want to deal with. There's just a lot of headaches and a lot of sleepless nights to try and deal with those. And we've even seen companies with cyber insurance have to deal with the fallout, and it still takes a tremendous response internally within the company when you're dealing with those types of ramifications of a cyber incident.
Are all businesses insured, or
No.
do some they just roll the dice?
I would say there's still a lot that are rolling the dice. I think
Wow.
it's getting a lot better now, but I would still say that rate's probably closer to 50-50. Probably about half the companies that we start with, and through our process say, do you guys have cyber insurance? We would still answer that, no, we don't have cyber insurance. So then we have the conversation with them of why it's critical that they carry that coverage.
Yeah.
Because it's ultimately their data at the end of the day, and they carry the responsibility for what could happen with that data.
Yeah. Again, Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne live in studio with us. Any last thoughts before I let you guys go?
Earlier, you asked a question about like our clients and what kind of is an adaptive client. And I
Mhm.
would say, it's, people that aren't afraid of innovation, companies that are wanting to cut costs, and be more efficient, and really using a technology partner to further their business goals. Our goal is to take care of the IT so that businesses can grow their business. That's what we want to do. We want to be a true IT partner. A lot of that's like cloud stuff. Off air, we talked about just the rising costs and servers and memory, and that's because of AI. It's insane. We saw like the cost of a server just go up $4,000 overnight. Like it's pretty crazy. So just, we've been doing cloud for a long time. We're very used to that. So we're really on the cutting edge of technology. So, people that are willing and wanting to embrace that, would be the perfect client.
They've done it for us here at American Journal Media. They can do it for you. Call them today at 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. Ryan, he's the one with the beard. Jennifer Van Alstyne, Adaptive Networks. Call them today. Thanks, guys. Always good to see you.
Thanks, Ralph.
Quick time out. Coming right back. Howard Marcus joins us at the top of the hour. We'll get into the Texas Senate race at the bottom of the hour. And then in the 5, Barack Hussein Obama says UFOs are real. And I'll tell you what recent president claimed that he witnessed a UFO. What do you think? That's our Q of the D, our question of the day. Are UFOs real? If you ask me, I say absolutely. Absolutely. I think they've been here for decades, centuries, who knows? Quick timeout. We're coming right back. It's TRBS on a Wednesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Outstanding. Nice job. That was good.
News Talk 96.1
I
and
know.
AM
you went at
1180
5. No, it was Jimmy
KERN.
Carter. It was Jimmy Carter.
The JR Show,
That he saw it, and
weekdays
he-
at
who
2
was more
p.m.
honest
So
than Jimmy
I'm not
Carter?
defending this woman. Yes, her attitude probably stinks because, well, she's
Yeah,
from Bakersfield.
exactly.
2, she's got to
No, I
put up
told
with
you. You
dumb
guys don't
people
believe
calling
in UFOs?
911 because, well, she's from
You don't believe in
Bakersfield.
UFOs?
Which leads
I
me
think
to
we're
my
the
other
only
question.
life in this
Who the hell
entire
still calls
galaxy.
911 in this community?
Come on.
Expecting somebody's going to
That's
actually
like-
show up to your 911 call.
And just what, and the thing
This
that
is
got
real.
me
The
is
JR
the
Show,
video of the
weekdays
Navy
at 2
pilots.
p.m.
One of the
see there,
highlights
they're
of this radio
dude, what is that?
broadcast
And then it,
appears
like,
on
leaves,
Thursdays
they're like,
at 4:30.
what is that? I
Our
have no
money
idea what
man,
that was.
Daniel Petrie with Messmaker and Petrie
Some
Wealth
things don't just
Advisors.
sit there and
You
then
all
just,
know
like,
by now what
leave.
Messmaker and Petrie Wealth
was the
Advisors are
craziest
all
video. I
about.
was like,
You know that I've turned on staff members who are extremely happy with being a client with Daniel. And I've told you, I've been a client for almost a decade now, and it is the single most
The only mermaid I believe in
important
is Daryl
and
Hammond.
smartest financial move I have ever made. If you're staring at
Well,
retirement,
I was just
late
going to
life,
say, the
you're in
other
fourth
theory is
quarter,
that that's
call
where they
Daniel,
are.
395-9400,
Ocean, where places we've never been.
395-9400. Just keep it
How
locked.
about all that?
Tune in every Thursday at 4:30 when it appears on the broadcast. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only.
We
Does not
can't
constitute a
get
solicitation or
past
offer to
the
buy or
movie.
sell any security, future option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by
exactly.
Daniel Petrie or
That's what, like,
MPWA,
no,
DBA, Messmaker, and
they're
Petrie
not-
Wealth Advisors. Any views
they're
expressed
not
in this
ready.
broadcast
They're
by us
not
are prepared
ready.
based
We
on the
can't
information
deal with
available to us at the time, and we are under
Don't
no
let
obligation
them
to
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson
All
and
right, guys.
Lincoln
Ooh, nice
by
kicks.
offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data
You
for
know, I
just
do not own a
$25
pair
a
of tennis
month.
shoes.
Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring
Crazy.
Benjamin Franklin by charging families
No,
hundreds
dude,
of
that's what I'm
dollars for
saying.
the
You can't
same
see the color.
5G service. What's up with that?
Where is it?
Ben
It's not
Franklin
even in
wasn't even a
shot.
president.
Well, you can't see it in the
When you
shot,
switch to
but
Pure
watch.
Talk, you'll be in business
They
with an
can't.
American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service
Yeah, you
in
see, you
this
can't
country.
really. I mean,
That's important. And
it's a
you'll be on the
diff- it's
same
a
towers the
difference
big
when it's
carriers
off,
use, so you'll get the same
but it
5G
just-
service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented.
Yeah, you can see it
Pure
just
Talk.
doesn't.
Attention truck, SUV, minivan, car owners, and RVs. If it's got an engine,
It's
then
a really
you need
cool
Kern
color.
Oil Change.
Cool colors.
Kern Oil Change keeps it running right. No appointments, no
It's
long
a-
wait, just fast, honest service from guys who get it. They
Yep.
top off your fluids, check your tires, all done while you
Yeah,
chill in your
trouble.
ride or in our waiting room.
Sure,
Kern Oil
right.
Change is built for people who don't have time to waste. 2 locations to serve you: 3706 Copy Road and 5651 Auburn Street. Kern Oil Change is open 7 days a week. Get in, get out, get going. Follow us on Instagram for additional savings.
Not again. This copier is always jamming.
We should call American Business Machines.
Since 1927, American Business Machines, an authorized Canon dealer, has been providing reliable office
And then they
solutions.
shot up the
From
place?
state-of-the-art copiers to advanced printers, we ensure your business runs smoothly. Visit abm1.com or call us today at 1-877-YES-ABM1. That's 1-877-937-2261. American Business Machines, your trusted partner for all your office technology needs.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I fell into a ring of fire.
Went down, down, down. The flames went higher. It burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire. The ring.
Want to thank Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks. Call them today for all your IT needs, 661-241-0638, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. 842-5376 is our number, 842-KERN. What do you got?
You got Calvin.
Calvin, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Yeah, Ralph, you forgot Mr. Obvious.
What's that? What's talking about?
Chris Christie.
Chris Christie.
As in a fat.
Well, what's he doing now?
He's making a talk show round.
Oh, okay, there you go. There you go. How many
But he
times?
was like
How many
governor.
times did he run for president?
Too many.
Twice. Lost both times. You're right, though. He was a governor. I'll give you that. And he's he qualifies for a fat guy. And I love Chris Christie too. I would have voted for Chris Christie. I wanted Chris Christie to be president. He's a smart cat. I just saw him on Bill Maher. But you're right. You're with that. That's a good one. That is a good one. Nice, nicely done. All right, man. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
All right, Calvin. 842-5376, 842-KRN. If you're just joining us, we were talking about Katie Porter, who's not really fat, a little overweight. Her real issue is just unlikability. She's got the Hillary gene, but she's a biscuit away from being I'm just saying. And Chris Christie, that may have been part of the reason that he didn't win. He was a little heavy. What do you got on the board?
Let's see. Republican James tells folks how to handle welfare. That somebody has sent us, so I'll have to show it to you.
All right, I'll take a look.
A lot of people are actually texting in. Chris Christie was rather round.
Yes, he was. But he's out of work now, ain't he? What was he, a two-time governor in New Jersey? I think he was a two-time governor. But where his presidential, I mean, you can get elected governor fat. We got fat governors. J.B. Pritzker's a fatso. You can get elected governor as a fatso. Not here in California. I don't think so. But, yeah, you can get elected governor. You could even, I bet we probably had a fat senator, a fat congressman. I can't think of any. But I mean, if that's the only one, Fetterman's not a fat guy. He's just a sloppy guy. He's just huge.
True.
Dude's like 6'6". But I mean, if that's the only one you got, I think that makes my point. And the fact that all of his presidential attempts were failed. But I thought he was a good governor. I think that bridge thing did him in, where they thought that he closed down the bridge. I can't remember what the whole fiasco was about, but they made a big deal out of that. And he was falling under the shadow of Trump too. What else you got?
Regarding the argument about AG and Sala, is like the police officers getting charged with attempted murder on Rodney King and repealing the charges after sentence because they could say, quote, him, he'd be dead. So no, we didn't try to.
I didn't understand a word of that.
I think they're trying to compare your argument about AG and Sala. Not sure which one they're talking about on that one.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Andre?
The bottom line is Attorney General's office.
Oh, probably, yeah.
The bottom line is they did not charge him with a sex charge. How can you come back and complain that he got mental diversion when you selected a charge that specifically provided him with mental diversion? That doesn't allow him to register, doesn't force him to register, doesn't obligate him to do that. You selected the charge. Despite going into court and saying what he did, which absolutely met the merits of sexual abuse, this thing is all rigged. This is just to make Bonta look good. This is to make the AG's office look good, so that at the end of the day, when Scrivener is done with his mental diversion and he's a free man and doesn't have to register and his life goes on and is not paying his wife and is paying any attention to his children or even supporting them financially, he can walk away and they can say, well, we tried to fight it. We tried to fight it. Yeah, you tried to fight it after the fact. After you sent an ill-equipped attorney down here to take on one of the finest attorneys in the land, then you misrepresented the charges. And again, let me be redundant about the fact that they didn't even challenge Sala's doctor who recommended the mental diversion. And then you're going to come back and complain that he gets mental diversion? What was the judge supposed to do? Well, I'm going to overrule the doctor because I went to law school and I know better than this person who went to med school. So no mental diversion. Get out of here. Give me a break. Scrivener deserves it. As weird as that sounds coming out of my mouth, he deserves it. The family spent a ton of money on the best attorney, and he kicked their ass. And now they're trying to play like, oh, we lost? What? What? How did that happen? Give me a break. What happened to our music?
My fault. I, for some reason, thought we had 1 minute left. We still got 2. That's my fault.
What else? What beanie do you have on today? That is the ugliest beanie I've ever seen in my life.
First off.
Orange?
Orange? It's orange because of
Naranja?
the character it's supposed to be about. It's a Dragon Ball Z beanie. Anybody who knows this. Don't worry about
I knew it had some weird origin. It's the what?
Dragon Ball Z. It's a show.
Say it slowly, please. I'm an old man.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon
or
Ball
Dragon Ball, if you prefer. If it's
Dragon
adorable,
Ball
it's a show.
Z.
It's an anime.
That's a show.
Yes.
Where do I watch Dragon Ball Z?
Multiple places technically, but if you wanted to, one look at Crunchyroll.
You know, I almost cursed. There's not a damn day goes by that you don't make me feel like I'm 90. Swear to God. Dragon Ball Z.
Well, I had a 19-year-old UFC fighter on my show the other day, so I kind of felt like you for a minute.
There's a big difference between 19 and 31 and 31
that's true.
And 55.
Dr. Dre's 61 today.
Is he really? That makes me feel a little better. I appreciate that, actually. Michael is 63 today.
Was that today
or was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? I
think it was yesterday.
Michael Jordan is 63 years old. That's startling.
Daytona 500 champion.
Yes, he is. And one of the most dramatic Daytonas I've ever seen. I'll tell you that.
This is AM 1180 KE Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The fall of Jeffrey Epstein continues as officials in France widen their search for potential crime.
In an interview for France Info, Laure Becot, head of the Paris prosecutor, sex abuse crimes, including human trafficking, and the on financial wrongdoing. Et donc, il faut être Becot is calling on possible victims and witnesses to come forward. He says they will use newly released information to build a broader picture. She says older files will also be reviewed in light of new revelations. One such probe into modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, a friend of Epstein who was accused of rape and trafficking minors. After Brunel was found dead in his jail cell. I'm Jennifer.
Moscow and Kyiv met in Geneva today for a second round of brokered peace talks, a week before the 4th anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of its neighbor. Correspondent Charles Ziladesma reports.
President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, has said on social media Washington's push for peace in Ukraine has brought about meaningful progress. He didn't elaborate, though. The two armies are locked in battle on a roughly 750-mile line while Russia bombards civilian areas of the country. Overnight, a Russian drone strike in the southern city of Zaporizhia killed a woman and injured 7 people, including 2 small children, according to officials. I'm Charles Ziladesma.
Mark Zuckerberg in a post in Los Angeles courtroom Wednesday where the Meta CEO questions about young people's use of Instagram, his congressional testimony, and internal advice he's received to be authentic and not robotic. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 129 points, the S&P advanced 38. More at townhall.com.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same news, so you'll get the same 5G service with your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson. No hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250 micro for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and 8.
A crash involving a semi-truck on behind Chris Davis. That had traffic being diverted onto Highway 138 in the area of Fraser Mountain Park Road. The wreck happened about 6 a.m. Patrol. It was unclear from the Highway Patrol whether anyone was hurt seriously, but a chopper landed near there around 6:15. The truck was crashed on an embankment. The crash also involved several other vehicles. It was not stated specifically whether the weather was the cause of the wreck. More rain and snow are expected in Kern County this afternoon and overnight with a 90% chance again Thursday. A winter warning was in effect for some of the mountain areas through 10 tonight, according to the National Weather Service. You are still being advised to be prepared with alternate routes in case of closures, especially on the mountain passes.
It's death threats that were circulating on social media this weekend that have extra security at two high schools in Kern County this week. Those threats were against Del Oro and Golden Valley High School. EET. The Kern High School District says the threats were reported to Baker's police, and they and the district are looking into it. The extra security is a precautionary measure, and no arrests had been announced as of this morning. A birthday donation drive is going on through 6 today, and Patrick's Pantry says it's to help seniors new items, especially blankets and pillows, sweatpants, puzzles, and crossword and soft snacks. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away. You got to get a post inside the league suit.
It's on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm make sure you should have done that. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 18th day of February. The Genesis Open gets underway tomorrow, formerly known as the LA Open, the Open, the Datsun Open, the Cadillac Open, the Nestle. I mean, that tournament has changed names so many damn times. But it's amazing. I saw some video of 16-year-old Tiger Woods teeing it up. And he talked about it because, as my fellow golfing fans know, Tiger now is the host and runs that tournament. And isn't that just how crazy life is? He talked about his first appearance at Riviera because, Tiger grew up in Southern Cal, and he said it's a par 5. If you've ever been to Riviera, if you ever watched it on television, it's a par 5 that sits atop of near the country club, and it's a downhill par 5 that's very easily reachable. And he said he was so nervous he had 3-wood off the tee. And I was like, God, that's what I used to do. I did that at Bay Hill. I had an opportunity when I was working for Coast Media Newspapers in the 80s. Yeah, right before I moved up here. A buddy of mine at the paper got invited to Epcot in Orlando for their 20th anniversary. So this must have been like 89, 90, might have been 90. And we got to play Bay Hill, Arnie's course. And on the first tee, there had to be 4, 5, 6 carts. So you're looking at 18 staring at you, taking off the first tee. And I remember thinking, I'm not a driver. I'm going to hit 3-wood. I just want it to go in the air. I don't care where it goes. I don't care if I snap it. I don't care if I fade it into the woods. Just go in the air, please. Just don't roll this thing into the water. And I busted it. No, there wasn't water off the tee. There's water in the middle of the fairway. So I bust it. And I walk off like I know what I'm doing. And I get up to my ball. And I think I've got like a 5-iron over the water. And I roll it right into the water with a 5-iron. Oh, I got a guest. It's a Wednesday. The room was completely black. I hugged her and she hugged back. Like the fellow said, quote, ain't that a hole in the boat? Howard Marcus! What's really going on, Howard?
Laying here thinking I have a kidney stone. Other than that.
You have a kidney stone now?
Yeah, about the 5th time over like 20 years, yeah.
My father said that was the most pain he's ever suffered.
Oh, yeah.
He described it, and this is an adult show, so get over yourselves, but he said it's like passing a razor blade through while you're urinating.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's what he
the worst
described
part
it
is
as.
when they have to go get it, because they have to go up there, the obvious route,
Oh!
And then they put a stent in, which goes all the way up to your kidney. You can imagine about 3 foot, and then you look like it turns into, I won't go graphic, turns into a human pull toy. And they don't, when they pull it out, they don't let you leave to urinate and, you know, the hospital. And your dad was exactly right. I went in the bathroom, had to urinate. All that came out was blood, and I screamed like a little girl.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was horrendous. After they came in and broke it up with Sonic, it was in the emergency room, and they had me high out of my mind on morphine derivative.
Yeah.
And they have a little strainer, and the orderly's holding me up because, oh, that's the biggest kidney stone I've ever seen. And I passed it. I don't like to think, thank God I'm drugged out of my mind. Just I had no clue.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
horrendous. The first
crazy.
time I had it, I was on of all things, I was about 8,500 feet up on a deer hunting trip,
Yeah.
and I had to bounce the back of a pickup for about 2 hours to get home.
How do they form?
Well, they're basically crystalline. You know, honestly, it's sort of like they're mineral deposits in your kidney, and they like lemon juice, just like, you know, cherry juice for your gout.
Gout, yeah.
You got to stay really hydrated, and you got to kind of watch your protein intake. But as I was told over the years, once you had them, you just keep getting them.
Horrible.
And right now, it's not too bad. But the obvious telltale signs were before the pain started. It's just when you go to the bathroom, you say, "Hey, that doesn't look right," kind of a thing. Wow. You know, basically, you're peeing Hawaiian punch.
Oh.
Oh yeah, not pleasant. I don't want to go on with you. Listeners right now probably turning.
Yeah. That made me. I forgot I'm being watched because that made me.
Yeah.
Just.
Not fun.
Anything? Any new thoughts on Nancy Guthrie?
No, it's going to be what it's going to be. You know, they got so many leads, and then the problem once it gets to the news, everybody and their grandmother, you know, is going to call in and tip whether it's valid or not.
Right.
They got to sift through thousands of those things. I mean, it's just like we talked about. It's going to be what it's going to be. You know, they've got the FBI finally pulled in, which they should have done much earlier.
Immediately. I've been screaming that from day one.
It's a jurisdictional thing. You know, that just happens sometimes.
Yeah. What do you think of Chris Nanos and the Pima County Sheriff Department?
Not real impressed.
Yeah, me either.
No, I think that they fumbled the crime scene big time.
Yep.
And I think that, you know, look, they're human. They're subject to error. I mean, that's just the way it is. And unless they've had experience of these kind of things in the past, you know, they're kind of got routine training for a lot of this stuff.
Which they probably haven't. I'm assuming there are not a lot of kidnappings in Pima County.
No, probably not.
You know,
but, you know, they'll find out. You know, they always do this. It's all said and done. They'll find out what the errors they've got, if there were many. And you know, you and I are just, you know, we're just supposing there were.
Yeah.
And you know, at this point in time, somebody that was medically dependent and fragile, you know, going on this length of time, I think if she was, you know, if she's still around.
That's, you know, I was saying my mother's 83, and if she were off her meds for 17 days, I don't know if she would die, but she would not be very healthy. She would be in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. And plus the shock, and you know, think about the shock and stress.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting around the house without your meds. You're in a highly stressful situation, which anybody at any age is hard for them.
Yeah. So your blood pressure is out the roof.
Exactly.
Out the roof.
I don't think it's going to be a good ending.
And they can't be feeding her correctly. You know,
you know, if she got specific meds, how do they refill that prescription and get it without kind of, you know, indicators going on for law enforcement? They're probably searching for that kind of fill a prescription, you know, kind of clandestinely.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think she's in Mexico? I think that's like the latest theory now.
I think they're just following up any lead they have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think the TMZ's received 4 ransom letters? Do you think that's real? Do you think those are
I think you know, it'd be insane to send them through that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't think so. But again, we don't know. I mean, it could be all real. They could be all fake. I lean towards fake.
I do too.
You know, people trying to, especially when somebody would just say, "I want 50," for all the effort they've gone to and the risks they're facing.
Yeah.
You know, the death penalty case if they get caught.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's a lot of risk for very little reward.
And whoever made that phone call, no matter what happens, he's going to jail, or she.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That if they track, you know, with IP addresses and the deep net and all this stuff they can do now, you get anywhere on the internet, at some point in time, they're eventually going to find out who did that.
Yeah.
You know, unless you are really sophisticated, and these guys just don't sound that sophisticated. So
no, that's why I can't understand how they're defying the cops and the FBI.
sometimes the clueless bumblers are, because they're not professionals, don't do the stuff that's normally expected. Maybe that's part of it also. You know, if they don't really know what they're doing. You know, I did point out that in the Southwest that kidnappings for ransom are becoming more and more common, and it's mostly cartels.
Yeah, that's why I asked about Mexico.
Right, and that's the possibility. The only possibility I thought when Mexico came up.
That's funny
because it's going to have unwanted scrutiny on what they're doing in the United States if they are doing that.
Yeah,
that's going to be a real big news issue if they find out cartels are, you know, kidnapping American citizens at this rate.
Yeah,
you know, mostly it's within the Hispanic community. A lot of it's within family members. You don't hear it. You know, because they wanted a ransom and people are released and never see the light of day.
Yeah,
this was wrong. This is going to be a high profile.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
That's funny when you said the amateur does the unexpected and that can defy police. It reminds me of the movie 3 Days of the Condor.
Remember? I love that movie.
Robert Redford and Max
in Westwood.
Max Van Sydow, and Van Sydow is the professional hitman, and he can't find Condor, and he says, "This guy, he's either an expert or he's an amateur because he's not doing the typical things, and I can't find the guy."
Oh, it's a fascinating movie, especially when Max confronts him and goes over his rationale.
Yeah,
they explain that he was an amateur. Max, you know, he actually admires Robert Redford, but at the same time surprised he isn't a professional.
Right.
It's an interesting movie.
It is.
The time frame.
It's really a great picture.
Faye
Dunaway, Cliff Robertson.
Yeah.
John Houseman.
John Houseman. I like that. You know, when you go to the end, the only thing that was chilling at the end is when he says, "I gave it to them," and you know, Redford tells him, "I gave it to them," and he goes, "Who'd you give it to?" And he's standing in front of the New York
Times. And he says, "What if they don't print it?"
Yeah, so what if they don't? Yeah, and then Robert Redford has a oops look.
Yeah, and that's how it ends. Oh, it's a great film.
Very ambiguous ending.
Yeah, it's a great film. It really is.
Up
yeah. Speaking of the devil, any thoughts on Robert Duvall? Were you a big fan?
I really liked him as an actor. He started out early on in like Twilight Zone episodes, things like that.
Yes.
In fact, God knows why he was in Lost in Space. I think he was painted like gold or silver or something.
Really?
Oh yeah, he started out in very small parts in TV. I remember specifically because you recognized him from a god awful episode of Lost in Space. He was in Twilight Zone, things like that, and then worked his career up. And his big breakthrough was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes, where he does not speak.
No, really, and
Boo Reedley. Boo Reedley. Redley? Was it Redley?
I think it's Radley.
Yeah.
Radley. Yeah. But I my favorite movies with him are some of the out of the usual. I really liked him in some of his later works, obviously. I don't care about like The Godfather, things like that, because he was more of a character actor in his later years.
Yeah.
I think that was really stuff I liked a lot. And he just came across a very likable person as a character.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just seemed, sometimes their persona is their actual person.
Yeah. I saw an interview he did with David last night, and let me rewrite that sentence. Last night, I saw him on an old interview with David Letterman, and he was talking about The Godfather and how Marlon Brando. There's a picture they pulled up where it's the three of them. It's the scene where he just gets back from Hollywood, and now they're getting ready for the Sollozzo meeting, and they're standing together in this shot. I don't think they use this in the film, but Brando's talking to James Caan, and Duvall is the third guy, and he's got a cue card taped to his stomach because that's how Brando worked. They would put cue cards.
Very lazy actor, actually.
Yes, he never lines, never knew his lines, and they would post the cue cards around the room or on somebody. And then if you go back and watch it, which I did recently because it's been on some channel that I get like almost every day, you can see him kind of look at the character and then kind of look off as if he's looking off, but you can see he's reading. That's what he's doing. It's kind of funny.
That was the later years of Walter Brennan was infamous for that.
Yeah.
And support your local sheriff, for example. They said that problem, his memory was,
oh yeah.
They had to have cue cards everywhere. I guess it's not that uncommon, but heck, if I had to memorize the script, I'd be in real trouble.
Yeah, no kidding.
No kidding. Pages, lines. I really like Robert Duvall and like Lonesome Dove. I mean, assuming I wasn't Open Range.
I said that yesterday. Open Range with Kevin Costner and Beatty's wife. Warren Beatty's wife.
Yeah, Warren Beatty's wife.
Diane Cannon. Diane Ladd. Diane.
No, we're getting there now.
I can't remember.
You know, but after we hang up about 10 minutes from now,
I know. I think Chris is looking it
Annette
up.
Benning.
Annette Benning. Nice recall.
Just popped in my head.
I don't know where I got Diane. You're right. Annette Benning.
It's its own reward, I guess.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
but that's a great
movie.
film. That's a great film. And Costner is really good in that because he kind of plays
I
like
like
a.
him because he's subdued. In that
Yeah,
very
exactly.
movie, which I liked a lot. It's not
Yes.
playing him as, you know, God knows Waterworld and a lot of the things when he convinced himself he was an action hero. He plays a very low key character.
Yeah. Which
One
is,
of my favorite roles was Kevin Costner. Actually.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And he's not that bright in the film.
No, he's basically what he's supposed to be, kind of a, you know, fairly simple guy that was, you know, due to the Civil War, was turned into a kind of a psychotic killer and didn't start that way, and he's trying to kind of, you know, live beyond that. Yeah, it's an interesting character.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this. Our question of the day: do you believe in UFOs?
I don't disbelieve them because I'm always willing to be convinced. I think that when Rubio and Obama and all the powers that be, including the Air Force, said yes, there are UFOs, why would you disbelieve it at that point? What is their agenda to say that they're there now? Position of authority that yeah, they're UFOs.
Yep.
They're acting in ways that we don't have the technology for. We know it's not the Russians or the Chinese. Yeah, I think so.
I was just talking about this with Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne. Have you ever seen the Navy video of those pilots that see something, and you see a little dot, and then they're like talking about it, and all of a sudden it just zips out of the scene, and they're both on the thing going, "Hey fellas, did you see that? I didn't see that. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It couldn't have moved that fast." And it's like, come on, how do you explain that?
I like when they're doing these high speed, literally 90-degree turns, things we just can't physically do.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be interesting to come out why. You know, I think they obviously have to be benevolent at this point because they've had plenty of opportunities to wreak any kind of mischief they like. I don't know. You know, you know, science is so advanced that, you know, we think of things like science fiction, like Star Trek, space travel, but there are physics and things that we, I'm sure, don't understand yet as far as how to travel. And they've obviously must have cracked the code that we're not even cognizant of yet.
We're not even close.
In order to even get here.
Yeah, we can't even get to Mars.
Right. So think about it this way. Yeah, they have ways of doing it. And, you know, it's going to be, again, it's going to be one of those days when instead of landing in some farmhouse in the middle of
right,
you understand it, you know.
Well, that's why I always like Gene Roddenberry, the Star Trek creator, because he had he had a big optimistic view and I think a realistic view, because I think that if anybody had that kind of superior intelligence, they wouldn't want to destroy us. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying?
Why would they?
Yeah.
No, I think he had a very. I'm a big fan of original Star Trek.
I am too.
Everything after that, and he had a very optimistic view of the future.
Exactly.
And I think with good reason, and that's why I like the show. It's not a downer. You know, there's a hope for the future that we move beyond the petty things that we have to deal with nowadays, and that the future is bright.
I do too. Do you see a future like that in 200-300 years? Us flying around space and whatnot?
Yeah, I think so.
I do too.
Look at the technology now. Just in the last 20 years, the technology we've had advanced, we take for granted in a way, if you think of it that way. And we're living through changes that are
astounding. What Elon Musk is doing, bringing back rockets and catching them with the chopsticks. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Take off and land in the same spot.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Going to suborbital, then land literally on the exact spot they took off from.
Crazy.
It's amazing. Well, look at your Apple Watch. That is more memory than a computer 40 years ago for the Apollo program.
Yeah.
And people get buy them for $100 on eBay.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Anything you want?
Who knows?
Anything before I let you go?
Yeah, the only last thing I saw is I've been watching the Iranian demonstrations in the streets of, and it was just struck. Where would you see a demonstration with 350,000 people? And they're not even protesters. They're not protesting. When they're marching, they're giving roses to the police and thanking them for being there.
Wow.
I've watched about a dozen of those because it's a completely different attitude for a deep, completely benevolent cause, the basic cause that we should all be talking about, which is civil rights.
Yeah. But what do you think of that
situation? Just astounded by this. We've had 50,000 dead. It's not a news story.
What do you think of that situation in Iran? You know, the Trump just
we have to intercede at some point, unless they start taking over city by city. There's one city supposedly that's been taken over. It's a smaller city in the provinces. I think that we do targeted strikes on Revolutionary Guard headquarters and barracks, police stations if necessary. We don't have to actually go after the military itself. We just have to be able to break down the civil authority that's massacring people in the streets.
I heard this morning in the press briefing.
Or arm them.
I heard in the press briefing in the White House that the Russians are doing naval exercises with the Iranians.
And the
now-
Chinese in the
and the
Persian Gulf,
Chinese, and that Trump is sending George Washington and that naval group to the Iranian, taking them from Venezuela and headed to Iran. Could get funky.
It could. You've had plenty of provocations by close flights in the carriers by Russian and Chinese aircraft. If they're silly enough to do that, they're going to end up with a, all of a sudden they're not going to have much of a fleet left if they push. I don't think they will. I think they're just trying to show the flag, to show their solidarity. But the Iranians at this point, we know they've been proven to be a paper tiger.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Iranians already have their hand. The Iranians, and the Russians, the Chinese, all kind of have their hands full with other things at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, sir. Have a wonderful. Talk to you next week.
All right, sir.
All right, man. Take this quick time out. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about the Texas Senate race. Their primary is in March. They began early voting yesterday. And as I predicted, Jasmine Crockett is not happy. I'll tell you how the Stephen Colbert mess with CBS has absolutely catapulted James Tallarico, who before this was trailing Jasmine Crockett by 8 percentage points. We'll delve into that next. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, Monty Byram and Paul South and company will be here to talk about a gig they've got over at the Woolsworth. We talk about Alta Sierra being open this weekend. That's very exciting. We will have news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Carpet Outlet Plus installed over 1 million square feet of flooring last year alone. Over 20 years of Bakersfield's best flooring store means you can trust us with your hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and of course, carpet. Come in today to see over 100 waterproof floors from our in-stock inventory. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
How can you free time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be it could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is a symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, are you driving high? You might be, because a whole lot of people do. They say marijuana makes them a better driver, more careful, more focused. 4-year-old thought. And now, you see, no matter what you tell yourself, if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I feel the bar.
You see who Kelsey Plum's going out with? Darren Waller's ex-wife?
I did not.
Kawhi Leonard. Like, really? Kawhi Leonard. Quick timeout. More TRBS. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
How much you want to bet?
Mark
Everybody gone.
Zuckerberg and opposing
Everybody
lawyers
gone.
dueled in a Los Angeles courtroom
How much you want to bet?
Wednesday,
Everybody gone.
where the man answered questions
Everybody
about
gone.
young people's use of Instagram, his congressional testimony, and internal advice he's received to be authentic and not robotic.
Yeah.
The
she been
plaintiff,
gone.
a
Good
now
job.
20-year-old woman, is seeking to hold social media companies children who use their platforms. It says more than 550 commercial driving schools and that train truckers and bus drivers must close after investigators found they employed unqualified instructors, failed to adequately safety issues. On Wall Street, the Dow by 129 points. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Winter weather in Kern County may be responsible for a wreck that involved a semi and several other vehicles this Fraser Mountain Park Road. That part of the interstate was shut. Traffic was diverted onto Highway 138. More rain and snow are possible this afternoon, overnight, and all day Thursday, says the Weather Service. A winter weather warning continues in communities around there through 10 tonight. New items are being accepted through 6 this evening by Patrick's Pantry for residents of the Valley Convalescent Hospital. That is at 5901 Truxton Avenue. I'm Chris Davis, KERN Newsroom, with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries. Medicare and looking for
I
a
shot
doctor
a
who
90
listens
Saturday
and cares about you
on-
with minimal wait
and it
times
was,
and prompt referral
the pins-
authorizations. It's time you learned
pins
about access to a large
Shot a 90,
network
only
of
three-putted
outstanding
3
doctors
times.
applying
This
here
was
in
right
Kern
after
County.
the BC
Medicare
Open, so
Advantage
they
health
were
plans
fucking-
go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage and understanding.
I told him, you know what I did all day?
May be confusing. Call us today.
No, I did is I took
Let us
less
help
club
you understand your
every
Call
day.
today
And I,
at
even if I had a chip up hill, button downhill.
at 661-554-45. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve for accommodations of persons with special needs.
I was
and needs.
fucking proud of
Call
my 90. dude. I was
661-554-4544 TTY 711.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Chuck Sexton Show, the latest on the partial government shutdown. Democrats throwing a tent for ICE. They want changes. They won't fund some. Is this going to force a showdown? We'll also look at the SAVE Act. Is there a chance that the Senate will take this to the floor and force a filibuster? We'll talk about it on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
He was brutally handsome, and she was terminally pretty. She held him up.
So they're voting down in Texas. There's a possibly pivotal Senate seat up for grabs. John Cornyn is the longtime incumbent. He's a Republican, and he's being challenged on the Republican side because Texas still has the typical primary where there's a Democratic race and a Republican race, and then there's a general election. We changed that. We now have whoever is the two top vote getters emerge. And, you know, we're controlled by Democrats, so they gin that up for them. But in Texas, they still have the traditional primary, and so they do have early balloting. Their primary is March the 3rd. That's election day, but they started voting yesterday. And I told you about this Stephen Colbert nonsense, where Colbert, who, you know, is done in May, So he didn't give a damn. And CBS does, I imagine, because I don't understand how they have not summarily fired him. They did not, first of all, the FCC has nothing to do. And even Jasmine Crockett, who I didn't want to hear her voice, is why we don't have the audio, but she even said, this has nothing to do with the FCC. This was Stephen Colbert's choice, and she's absolutely right. And I told you she was going to be mad about this because you know what's happened? James Tellerico is her opponent on the Democratic side. It's her and Tellerico, and there's another guy who's insignificant. It's going to be between he and Tellerico. And then there's, like I said, the AG, the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Berry, Ken Norton.
Barbie's Ken.
Ken Norton Jr.
Oh, that's kind of cheating. Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey.
Well, then there's two. Ken, where I know I have it on here. Don't go anywhere. He's the Attorney General of the United States. Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton, who's leading Cornyn, leading the incumbent. But he's got some baggage. He's had some marital problems, but he's still leading. And Crockett is leading James Tellerico. So he's supposed to go on Colbert, and Brandon Carr is the new FCC chairman, and he's been talking about examining these talk shows and using a law, the equal time provision that was created, I think, in 1934. And you know, the thing is, if it's a law, it's a law. If it hasn't been executed in X amount of years, that doesn't make it not a law. And yes, you could say this could be a problem, as I talked about earlier this week, because if and when Democrats get into power, you know what genre they're going to go after, and that's radio. Why? Because radio, even in liberal states like California, radio is dominated by conservative talk. That's just a fact. And so it's equal time. But as I've talked about, JR and I have always, when he was my producer, and now that he's got his own show, we've always adhered to the equal time provision, just out of basic fairness. And that's why we ignore, or I ignore sometimes, large races where there's 6 or 7 candidates. I'm not going to bring in 6 or 7 people in here. I'm just not going to do it. And there's normally 1 or 2 people dominant vote getters anyway, so it's just a waste of time. Well, they threatened Stephen Colbert. CBS did, and their legal team. And this is what Colbert had to respond.
Carr, he issued a letter saying he was thinking about getting rid of that talk show exception. He had not gotten rid of it yet, but CBS generously did it for him and told me unilaterally that I had to abide by the equal time rules, something I have never been asked to do for an interview in the 21 years of this job. Now, that decision, I want to be clear, is their right, just like I have the right to talk about their decision on air. Last night, all right, last night I did, and people who interview politicians have noticed.
Stephen Colbert making headlines.
Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert. Wow, everyone's talking about this Stephen Colbert fella.
And he knew it. And he knew it. The guy's not a dummy. You got to give him that. But in doing so now, and this is why you have the equal time provision, he is election. And I'm pissed because I want Jasmine Crockett as the Democratic candidate against either the AG down there or John Cornyn, because Chris Burdick could beat Jasmine Crockett for the United States Senate. And just to show you the impact that he's had, remember we told you yesterday that Tellerico had 2 million views on the YouTube channel, because I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that Colbert adhered to CBS's wishes, but posted it on YouTube. But I said they got 2 million views. It's up to close to 6 million views. In 24 hours, James Tellerico, who had no money, had no chance of beating Jasmine Crockett, who was trailing her by most polls by as many as 9 points, he raised $2.5 million in 24 hours. Listen to me carefully. James Tellerico, who is 9 points down right now, is going to win that primary. On March 4th, I will sit here and tell you. And this is why the equal time provision works, because he didn't give Jasmine Crockett equal time. He played this up, and now it is gone crazy, raising almost $3 million in a day. And you don't think he's going to make up those 8 or 9 points? And to his credit, Tellerico now is running a great campaign, because you know what the focus of his campaign is? Jasmine Crockett? You gone crazy. That third guy that I can't even come up with his name? Of course not. Who is he running against? Donald J. Trump. He doesn't go. I've seen 3 different campaign speeches that he's made since he went there. He does not mention Jasmine Crockett. He does not mention Ken Barlow. He doesn't mention John Cornyn, but he mentions Donald Trump 3 or 4 times. I didn't get the audio because I don't want to hear from a Democrat from Texas, but he's talking about, and clearly the FCC, under the guidance of Donald Trump, they're afraid of me. They don't want me on that ticket. They know I'm going to change Texas. We're going to flip Texas. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, because that's what's fueling $2.5 million. This whole idea that somehow Trump and his FCC has gone in here and told Stephen Colbert who to interview, and that's just a lie. It's an absolute lie. And yes, in all of its stupidity and incompetence, did not tell him the interview. That is a lie that he's making up. What they said was, just have Crockett on. How difficult is that? And what's wrong with that? Doesn't that make sense? To provide equal time for 2 separate candidates? And it does. And you know, with the equal time rule, it's not even about the broadcast. It's about the network. So CBS could have handled this their own and slapped her on some other show. Hell, they could have put her on The Price is Right for all they care. And that would have satisfied the equal time provision. But no, that's not what Colbert wanted to do. He wanted to make a mess out of this thing. And he got more ratings. Once again, the only way these guys get ratings is going after Trump. Kimmel, you remember that? Where his ratings were in the toilet, and then the whole thing, and they blamed bop, and he came back, and his ratings are out the roof. Ratings are out the roof. Well, Colbert knew what was going to happen once he put this on YouTube. I don't watch Colbert, but I saw, he took a piece of paper that CBS sent him, and he said, I don't know what to do with this piece of paper. Oh, wait, I know. And he got like one of those pooper scoopers, that paper that my neighbors use to pick up their dog's feces. And he used that and crumpled it up and acted like it was crap. Because that's what he said. He says, I don't know what to do with this crap. And he goes, well, wait a minute. And he gets the glove thing that they use and played it like it was dog doo-doo, and he played it brilliantly. And it's like, dude, if you'd done this your whole career, you wouldn't be leaving in May. Your numbers wouldn't be in the toilet. You wouldn't be getting any numbers. You wouldn't be making any money for CBS. But whenever there's controversy, that's why they love Trump. Man, I'm telling you, the liberals are going to miss Trump. They really are. Because they don't have a bad guy to beat up on and to create sympathy and play the victim, as most liberals do. That's their go-to. Woe is us. Look what he's doing. He's challenging the First Amendment. All you had to do was put the lady on. That's all you had to do. But no, instead, you're going to spit in the eye of the people that pay you every 2 damn weeks $10 million a year. It's pretty easy to spit in the eye of management when you're making $10 million a year, doesn't it? Crazy. Most of us could live, our grandchildren wouldn't have to work if we could earn $10 million a year. It's pretty easy to be that jerk and spit in the eye of your legal team at CBS and then completely skew a presidential race. Because Jasmine Crockett doesn't have not a chance. And she's 9 points up. So that's a huge prognostication on my point. To be able to say that in where are we, February, in less than a month, I'm predicting that a guy 9 points down is going to win. You damn right. You damn right. If you can raise $2.5 million in a day the momentum is clearly on your side. And if she does win, and if I'm wrong, it'll be by 1 or 2 percentage points. I think he's got the momentum. He's got the attention. There were 50,000 comments on YouTube. And it went from, did I mention the number? That it went from 2 million to almost 6 million views. That's crazy. That's crazy. And it's all about Trump. Ain't got nothing to do with James Tellerico. It's got nothing to do with Stephen Colbert. It's about woe is us. Trump is trying to tell these guys who they should talk to and what they should do. Boop, 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 boop. Nope. That came from Columbia Broadcasting System, and all they simply said was to rectify it. I don't know. You got 15 minutes? You got 15 minutes, Stephen? Then put the black lady on from Texas, please. That's all you have to do. But no. Instead, he makes this big, big to-do, and woe is me, and I'm the victim, and they're challenging the First Amendment, and we're going to take it to YouTube and get this out there, and I'm going to absolutely change the Senate race. And it's just depressing because I really wanted to see Jasmine Crockett on that ballot, just like I want to see Gavin Newsom as the 28th nominee, because both of them don't have a chance in a general election. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and check the board, see what you all are talking about. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll start to get into our question of the day. Do you believe in UFOs? Barack Obama says they exist. Navy pilots insist they've seen them, or objects that they can't explain that move at a speed and at angles that we are incapable of doing. And I'll tell you, the recent president who said earlier in his life he absolutely witnessed a UFO. Quick time out. Don't forget, the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or online at adaptive-net.com. Adaptive Networks, serving The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1.
Casey.
Thursday's Armstrong and Getty Show. Mark Zuckerberg took the stand in the social media trial. What did he say? What was his defense? We'll have it for you.
Plus, the worst judge in America. And why are young people choosing porn and OnlyFans over love? The answer's simple. It's fear. Let's start calling it what it is. That in the news of the day on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Weekend is approaching, fellas. Why not grab the wife, head down to F Street, and have one of the finest steaks that you'll have at KC Steakhouse. And as I like to talk about, everybody doesn't feel red meat, particularly if you're going with a large party, because a lot of birthdays and anniversaries are celebrated at KC Steakhouse. And I've talked about Chef Daniel, an incredible job he's done over the last couple of years of expanding the menu. As I've talked about, I can't eat a lot of protein, so I can't do steaks as often as I'd like. And that's why I love to do the Ralph Bailey. It's a chicken breast that's smothered in spinach and mushroom sauce. Get a little baked potatoes, some vegetables, and it is a great way to have a great meal while everybody else at the table is having one of the great steaks in Kern County. And in fact, there are customers that come in and say, I'm having the Ralph Bailey, which I absolutely love. And tell them that. They'll know exactly what you're talking about. They have pasta. They have the lobster mac and cheese. They have incredible fish dishes, halibut, mahi-mahi, salmon, you name it. Chef Daniel will cook it up for you. And don't forget about the Speakeasy type bar next door, the Stockyard. They're providing live music Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. And Jimmy and Bobby are providing live music in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit optimarelief.com.
Are you looking for a one-of-a-kind way to honor your team or commemorate a special event? Look no further than Martinez Challenge Coins and More, the premier challenge coins and specialty metals company in Bakersfield. With years of experience and a commitment to Martinez creates custom challenge coins that are truly exceptional. Whether you need coins for your military unit, law enforcement agency, or corporate team, they have you
long
covered.
day,
Their
10 to
expert
5.
team will work closely with you to design a coin that reflects your unique vision. From intricate artwork to personalized details, Martinez
They can't even stay till
ensures
5.
that every
They just
coin
can't.
is a true work of art.
Hi, I'm Ray Martinez, owner and founder of the company. So don't settle for ordinary.
When they should be staying till 5:36.
Contact Martinez Challenge Coins
but-
and More today and let them bring your vision to life.
Well,
Visit their
who
website
cares?
at martinez-llc.com or call 661-304-9589. Martinez Challenge Coins and More, where excellence meets.
Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2. Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back.
ERN. Yes, Kelly Plum is dating Kawhi Leonard.
Kelsey?
What'd I say?
Kelly?
Whatever. Darren Waller's ex. That must be awkward. Because you know they run into each other at like the ESPN thing. What's the ESPN thing? What's the big ESPN show?
ESPYs?
The ESPYs. They probably run into each other at the ESPYs. They probably run into each other. I bet Waller was at the All-Star game.
I'm sure that's probably true.
Super Bowl. Everybody goes to the Super Bowl. I don't know. And how do two athletes really date? You know what I'm saying? They're both on the road for most of the year.
But at the same time, how can they not? Because they're the only ones that understand each other.
Who does she play for?
I believe she's Aces in Vegas.
In Vegas, and he's in LA.
Yes.
But he lives in San Diego.
Yes.
So I don't understand. I guess when you have your own jet, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I really don't matter.
It must be nice. What do you got on the board?
Ralph, speaking of UFOs, have you ever heard of the WOW frequency? If not, look into it. It's pretty interesting stuff.
No, I've never heard of the WOW, but I will check that out. I believed in Bigfoot when I was a kid. Scared the crap out of me. I went and I thought it was a documentary. It wasn't a documentary, but I went and saw. Have you ever seen the clip of that film that I saw trade where this creature and it looks back, and I at that point absolutely convinced, and I would tell my father, I saw it. It's in a movie. He's like, Ralph, that was a man. I was like, Dad, it was like 7 foot tall. I was like, you don't think they can find a 7 foot man to put in a gorilla suit? I was like, no, it exists. And that's when he gave me the speech that I've told you about. Because I mean, I was in sixth grade. It was bad. I was sleeping at the foot of my parents' bed, not like in their bed, but on the floor. And finally, my dad was like, that's got to stop. That's got to stop. And I said, I'm just a little worried. He said, Ralph, where was this Bigfoot seen? I said, Washington. I said, well, so what are the chances? He said, let's say it comes to California. What are the chances that it comes to Los Angeles? And let's say it comes to Los Angeles. What are the chances that it comes to Ladera Heights? That it comes down Slauson Boulevard and comes down Bedford Avenue? What are the chances of that? And if it comes to Avenue, what are the chances that it comes to our house? And if it comes to our house, don't you think I'm going to protect you? And I said, you're right, Dad. And I slept at the foot of his bed the next night. I was terrorized by that. That and The Thing were the two things that scare the crap out of me. I was in third grade and I saw The Thing for 25 cents at my Catholic school in New York City. And they had to get me a what do you call that? A nightlight. I was so scared of The Thing. James Arness, who used to play Matt Dillon, Gunsmoke, is in The Thing. There was a remake with Kurt Russell, but it's horrible. But this was like shot in the 50s, and I saw it if I was in third grade, I was probably, 65, 66, something like that. What else you got?
Trump is fat, and he got elected as president.
He's not fat. He's overweight and out of shape, but he's not fat. You can't call Donald Trump fat. You're gonna compare Donald Trump to Chris Christie? Really? Come on. You're gonna compare Donald Trump to Katie Porter? Come on. He looks good in a suit. You can't admit that? Yeah. When he plays golf and he has to tuck his shirt in because he's at a country club, and you see that little round mound of rebound around his waist, but he's not. You're right. Medically, he's probably fat, but I think he's lost some weight. I think he's on the GB, GH, GL, whatever. I think he's on the Wegovy or the whatever. He's lost some weight, but he's not fat. He's over. There's a difference between overweight and fat. You know what I'm saying? Believe me, I know. I used to be fat, and then I was overweight, and now I'm losing weight on this new diet of mine. Now that I got rid of carbs. I don't eat bread anymore, which kills me. God, I was killing those Italian sandwiches from Jersey Mike's. I might have to cheat and have one this weekend. I miss that. That Italian sandwich is so freaking good.
I usually go with the tuna.
I've never had their tuna.
Actually, it's pretty good.
I make my own tuna. I had some tuna the night before. I love making tuna because I do it up, Jack. I walk up to Arco and I get me some onions. And I get little avocado and eggs. I don't use relish, though. We were talking about that. You're a big relish guy.
I do. That's a relish.
I don't like relish. My mother used to put relish in the tuna. I didn't like tuna when I was a little kid. And then when I became an adult and realized I could just keep that out. But
relish with a little bit of yellow mustard.
Now that I haven't tried. Yeah, you told me that. I'm going to try that because mayonnaise is horrible for you. But I love mayonnaise.
This makes it a little tangy, and I like that.
Little bite to it. One more, and let's get to the UFOs.
Let's see. I have a question for Ralph. Do you miss working at 20? Would you ever work at a news station again? Like if Fox News had called, would you work for Fox?
No. I hated television. Hated it, hated it, hated it. Hated it. Really did. Because you got to remember, I did 6 years in newspaper before I came up here. Then I was the managing editor of the newspaper at Cal State, and then I worked for the Californian as a correspondent for about a year and a half, and I was a staff writer for a very short period, and then jumped literally 2 weeks after leaving the Californian, I was doing television. And when you're used to, you can go as long as you want, as long as sometimes your editor will tell you how far to go in terms of length, but if it's too long, they'll cut it from the bottom up. But you can write, doing the life and times of Chris Burdick, you write for 36 inches. But on television, you got about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes to tell Chris Burdick's story. And I just hated it. I absolutely hated it. I just don't like the genre, And getting out of television was the best thing that ever happened to me because I can do this radio until I die. But television is a young man's game. And at some point, you kind of, like I saw Gail, what's her name on KTLA, the black woman who's been there forever. And I hadn't seen her for a while. And I was like, oh my God, My mother looks better than you. I don't know how she keeps her gig. There's some gigs, that's so hard in those large markets. If you've got the gig and they like you, you can stay your whole life. Jim Hill has been at KCBS since I was in 7th grade, literally.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The partial government shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security continues. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats are not budging in their demand.
ICE needs to be reformed in a dramatic, bold, meaningful, and transformational manner. And if it doesn't happen, the DHS funding bill will not move forward.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responds.
We've been engaged in good faith negotiations with the Democrats for a counter proposal that frankly was very unserious, and we hope they get serious very soon because Americans are going to be impacted by this.
The 2026 National Religious Broadcasters Conference continues today in Nashville, bringing together 3,000 Christian broadcasters from as far away as Israel, India, and Australia. Dr. Albert Mohler, president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, says NRB 2026 reminds attendees that they must stand firm in their scriptural beliefs even as chaos swirls around the globe.
The tendency in a fallen world is towards decay. You know, energy dissipates into denial. It dissipates into liberalism without an awful lot of attention. And so I'm very thankful to be among the evangelicals who are very glad to hold fast to the faith once for all delivered to the saints. And, you know, even at the movement at NRB, over time, this organization has learned it has a very important gatekeeping responsibility there. And so I would say theologically, what you see here is a lot healthier than you would have seen here even, say, 30 years ago.
Dr. Mohler's talk radio is one of the most powerful delivery systems for reaching millions with the gospel. On Wall Street, the Dow by 129 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The weather takes its toll in Kern County. I'm Chris Davis. It hasn't been stated specifically by the Highway Patrol that the weather was the cause, but a wreck involving a semi-truck and several other vehicles that happened about 6 this morning had I-5 shut down in the Fraser Road area. Traffic was being diverted onto Highway 138. It was not clear if anyone was seriously hurt, but a helicopter was seen landing about 6:15 with the truck down an embankment. A winter weather warning is in effect in that area until 10 tonight, and more rain and snow are expected in Kern County this afternoon with a 90% chance in the forecast. The highway people to have some alternate routes in mind in case of closures in areas like the mountain passes. You may see police and extra security if you go by Del Oro High School and Golden Valley High School this week. That has to do with death threats that are this weekend over social media. The Kern High School District says they were made aware and contacted Bakersfield Police, and both were looking into who may have made the threats. No, and the extra security is a precaution. The trial where the city is being sued over the actions of a Bakersfield police officer is expected to start this week with jury selection and opening statements. The plaintiffs are Anna Hernandez, whose attorneys say she will need $9 million from the city for her treatment, and the family of Mario Lares, who was killed in the wreck, the plaintiffs say was caused by a Bakersfield police officer on January 19th, 2023, who was trying to get to a pursuit without his lights on and hit the car in which Lares and Hernandez were riding. Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour, and when it breaks, AM 1180 KERN.
This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away. You got to get a post. Put their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842 661-842-5376. Listen live at radio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday. Plenty to do in the final hour. Coming up, bottom of the hour. Get to our Black History Month moment. Today we're going to talk about Garrett Augustus Morgan Jr. Sr. Who is Garrett Augustus Morgan Sr.? Well, you'll find out in about 25 minutes. Got some miscellaneous news and notes to get to. You'll hear from Jesse Jackson before we get out of here. I talked about my belief that Donald Trump is not a racist, but he enjoys playing one to solidify part of his MAGA base. I know this is uncomfortable to hear and not even likable, but I believe that all MAGA is not racist. Obviously, that would be incredibly stupid, but I do believe that an overwhelming majority of white supremacists and racists are. So I think he has to throw them a bone on occasion. I really believe that. And I think that's the cause for the ridiculous Obama thing and other statements that have been made. A lot of times, many of his statements are taken out of context, particularly the classic one they use. Where was it, in Charlottesville, where he said there were good people on both sides? Well, they take that out of context. They don't play the whole bite. It's just like the January 6th speech, where they take that out of context and they say march down to the Capitol, but they intentionally edit out the portion where he says we're going to march peacefully. But you'll hear from Jesse Jackson in just a second. In the meantime, our question of the day, do you believe in UFOs? I absolutely do. I absolutely do. I think it is kind of myopic to think that in this vast galaxy of ours, you know how many planets there are in just our galaxy alone? And to somehow think that somehow God created heaven and the earth and the stars and the sun and the moon and all this, and that we're the only living creatures. It may be a life form that we don't even understand, but there has to be some form of life outside. And you know what? I believe that if we could prove that there are creatures beyond our understanding and outside of our world, there would somehow, I believe that there would be more peace in this world.
Oh, 100%.
I absolutely believe that. I think we would get along better. I think we would realize
common enemy kind of
yes. It's I call it the post 9/11 syndrome. People were wonderful and loved America, and we were all pulling on the same rope for about 3 or 4 months. 3, 4, maybe 6 months, maybe I'll even give it I don't think it was a year. It's about 6 or 7 months, whereas everybody was pulling on the same side, and people were chanting USA at ball games, and it just kind of died away. And it's because when we have a common enemy or a common entity, being UFOs, we kind of circle the wagons and realize that they're much bigger than us, that we're just kind of an amoeba in the big scale of things. Meantime, Barack Obama was on a podcast, and here was his response when asked the question about UFOs.
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
the late Jimmy Carter, swore. And was there a more honest president than Jimmy Carter? For all his faults, Jimmy Carter was a very religious, very honest man to a fault. Remember the Playboy interview where he said, "I have lust in my heart"? Shut up, Jimmy. But James Earl Carter insisted that while he was in the Navy, he was petitioned on a nuclear submarine, and he said while he was in the Navy, and I think he was on a sub, and said he witnessed a UFO. Why would he lie about that? And how have there been so many sightings? And do you know anything about this? We'll talk about this on Friday with Rick Bentley, but this new Spielberg film, Disclosure.
So I've heard of it, but I really don't know much about it. The only thing I know is the trailer that we all saw at the Super Bowl, I believe.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it? It seemed like it was actually kind of too. Like the trailer didn't seem real at first.
But it deals with the reality that there are UFOs,
Yes.
and the government finally
Yeah,
releases it or something to that effect.
It kind of hints to both, whether they could be UFOs or lizard people, whatever conspiracy you kind of believe in.
Don't you think Spielberg knows something? Because, I mean, look at the movies that he's done. He's done E.T.
Yeah.
The classic one that really mentally, I mean, not mentally is the word, kind of intellectually dealt with UFOs was Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy film.
Let's see, does he know something or is he just a big fan of aliens? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Well, this is his film, this Disclosure. But I absolutely believe in it. And the thing that convinced me was that film that I alluded to earlier, where the Navy pilots were talking with one another. And they both saw it. The two pilots in different aircraft saw something that they could not explain. And then they have like dash cams. And you can see the object. And then all of a sudden you dart out of the screen. And both of them are like, they're Navy guys, pilots don't kind of, they're all like, hey, they're right there. And this guy's like, whoa, did you see that? Where'd it go? I don't know. I didn't see it. It's gone. And they don't lose it like that very often. You don't hear high-pitched yelling from Navy pilots at 35,000 feet. And they were both shocked. I absolutely believe it. And like I said, I think it would bring this place together. I think sooner or later, we're going to find hard evidence. And the fact that we can't shows their superiority. That's all. I just don't understand how you cannot think that there is life beyond Earth. The galaxy is just too vast. It's just a possibility. I don't know. What's everybody saying on the board?
Let's find out right now. Let's see. Actually, I don't see any here yet that have
dealing
anything
with
to
the
do
UFO?
alien stuff. Oh, actually, no, I lied. Speaking of the UFOs, what are your thoughts on the 1977 Phoenix Lights, the most documented UFO sighting in U.S. history? Do you remember it making headlines at the time?
I don't. 77, I was in ninth grade? No, I don't remember that. But I believe it. I've had friends, my late cousin George Davis, claimed that he lived in a community that's outside of Beaufort, South Carolina. It's called Dale. And it's rightfully named because it's like, if you blink, it's smaller than McFarland. If you blink driving through Dale, you'll miss it. It's where my grandmother taught, and her nephew, my grandmother's nephew was the principal, but my grandmother had been there before he was there. But he inevitably became the principal. And my grandmother taught English at Dale High School it was Dale Elementary for like 40-something years or something crazy. And my cousin George said he definitely saw it. He was about 15 years old, which means I was about 10. And I remember it was a big discussion in our house. And, his parents, my Aunt Mary and my cousin James, they yelled at him. They absolutely yelled at him. They thought it was like to say something like that. I'm totally serious. They were like livid that he would bring that into the house, as they put it. Don't bring that nonsense in this house. He's like, what? I saw something. I'm telling you, I saw something move. It wasn't a plane because it stopped, and it wasn't a helicopter. And he's trying to explain. And they were like, no, they were, credit my parents. The old folks back, black folks, particularly in the 40s and the 50s, were extremely religious. Both my grandparents on both sides of my family and the older people in my family, incredibly religious, where they thought just thinking about UFOs was like anti-Christian somehow. Like God couldn't make other creatures beyond humans, I suppose. I don't know. But I believe it. I don't know what you guys think. Let's go ahead and take a break. It's time for our Black History Month moment. When we come back, you're going to learn about Garrett Augustus Morgan Sr. He invented something that he never truly got credit for that you will deal with today, tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow morning. Every day of your life, you deal with this. And he invented it. I'll explain when we come back. Then at the bottom of the hour, we'll check the board. You'll hear my audio from Jesse Jackson talking about Donald Trump, their relationship back in the 20th century. And I've got some other miscellaneous news and notes to get to. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on a Wednesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com, and we're broadcasting live on YouTube. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.
Adaptive.
The JR Show is at 2 p.m.
Nobody's talking about that self-worth and purpose. Who's talking about that? Nobody says that. There's more to you than what you're doing. Let's help you get there.
Let's help you get there. Let's just all agree that there's many different roads, but different people dealing with homelessness and living on the streets to get them.
That's right. I agree with you.
And as long as we can start there, then I think we can start to make a bigger day.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Earlier in the broadcast, I hope you were with us when owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne, were live in studio. We talked about various things, but one of the things that stood out, particularly for us here at AGM, who are clients of Adaptive Networks, is their fast response. When your IT goes down, you need local experts who will respond first. And Adaptive Networks is right here in Kern County with lightning quick response times. We're talking minutes, not hours. No distant call centers, no endless waiting, just local professionals you like family and get you back and running fast. Adaptive Networks, local expertise, lightning fast response. Call them today at 661-241-0638, 241-0638. And remember, your IT information can be stolen. Turn to the folks of Adaptive Networks that can create walls and can prevent ransom or spreading of your businesses. Call them today at 241-0638 or hit them online at net.com.
King Door Company continues to set the standard in the garage door industry, and I'm here to tell you a few of the reasons why. First off, King Door carries Clopay garage panels and LiftMaster openers, so you're guaranteed quality and reliability well beyond the reach of most garage door companies, and it just gets better from there. King Door has a fleet of fully stocked service trucks with all the parts and tools to handle any job quickly and efficiently, and those trucks are manned by the most knowledgeable technicians anywhere. They have all the technical expertise available. In fact, King Door is so committed to training that they have the King Academy, a full-size, state-of-the-art classroom right on the premises with all the latest teaching aids, including working garage doors to simulate any installation, repair, or technique. Your garage door is a very important part of the safety, security, and look of your home, so don't trust it to anyone but King Door Company. Call them today at 397-2744, stop by the showroom at 7450 District Boulevard, or check them out online at kingdoor.com. King Door Company, your company with the pride of a lion.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notified about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-690-6464. That's 800-690-6464. Again, that's 6464.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Just think about you. All my favorite Stevie songs. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? How exciting it would be if you should discover you feel like me. If you should discover this dream is for two. The Hollywood Reporter, get this. You know how my theme throughout this whole Nancy Guthrie disaster has been the incompetence of Pima County Sheriff's Department, and in particular the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. Listen to this. This is what the Hollywood Reporter is reporting. If the Pima County Sheriff's Office updates during... Oh, man. What do you want? Pima County Sheriff's Office updates during the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping crisis feel like they belong in a reality TV show. Well, they sort of already do. The Pima County Sheriff's Office, led by Sheriff Chris Nanos, is the featured group of cops on A&E's Desert Law, which airs Wednesdays at 10 p.m. February 18th Desert Law episode, Weapons Found, centers on the specific challenges that come with policing in a state, Arizona, with some of the loosest gun laws in the country. Nanos doesn't appear in the show, but coordinates with producers 2020, given that his officers and detectives are the featured stars of the docu-follow. Not appearing on camera was the sheriff's call. A source close to the production tells the Hollywood Reporter. Yeah, but he's getting a check, though, ain't he? He's in the middle of one of the biggest cases he'll ever have in his life, and he's off with a side gig. Desert Law Season 1 and 2 were filmed back-to-back in 2025, so you won't see any Guthrie coverage in this batch or the next. The series premiered in January. The Desert Law log line reads, when the blistering Arizona sun finally sets over... why am I reading this? Why am I reading this nonsense? I don't understand this guy and how the hell he would get involved in something. I just, even if it was before this whole situation, I would have still said, this isn't a really good time to feature our county and our county sheriff's department, given the fact that we bungled this case and not solved it. I don't know if we're the exact group you want featured, but a check's a check, I guess. I don't know. It is time for our Black History Moment of the Day. And today we focus on Garrett Augustus Morgan Sr. Garrett Morgan Sr. was an American inventor, businessman, and community leader. His most notable inventions were a protective smoke hood that he notably used in a 1916 tunnel construction disaster rescue, a type of traffic light invented in 1923, a hair straightening cream, and other hair products. Morgan created a successful company called G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company based on his hair product inventions. He was involved in African Americans' civic and political advancement, especially in and around Cleveland, Ohio. Morgan spent most of his teenage years working as a handyman for a Cincinnati lawnmower. Like many African American children growing up at the turn of the century, he had to quit school at a young age to work full time. Morgan hired a tutor, continued his studies while working in Cincinnati. In 1895, he moved to Cleveland, where he began repairing sewing machines for a clothing manufacturer. This experience sparked Morgan's interest in how things worked, and he built a reputation for fixing them, much like my grandfather, actually. His first invention made during his period was a belt fastener for sewing machines. Morgan also invented a zigzag attachment for sewing machines. In 1907, Morgan opened a sewing machine shop. And then in 1908, more conscious of his heritage, he helped start the Nation of Colored Men. In 1909, he and his second wife, Czech immigrant Mary Ann Hasek, opened Morgan's Cut Rate Ladies Clothing Store. The shop made coats, suits, dresses, and other clothing, and ultimately had 32 employees. Then in around 1910, his interest in repairing other people's inventions waned and became interested in developing some of his own. He received his first patent in 1912. In 1913, he incorporated hair care products into his growing list of patents and launched the G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company, which sold hair care products, including his patented hair straightening cream, hair coloring, and a hair straightening comb invented by Morgan. In 1914, he patented his smoke hood design, also known as a breathing device. And in 1914, he launched the National Safety Device Company. The invention earned him the first prize at the Second International Exposition of Safety and Sanitation in New York City. In 1916, Morgan rescued workers trapped in a water intake tunnel 50 feet beneath Lake Erie, using the smoke to protect his eyes from smoke and featuring a series of air tubes that hung near the ground to draw clean air beneath the rising smoke. And in 1923, Morgan designed a traffic signal after witnessing a horrible crash at an intersection. His manually operated design, including moving arms featuring signals for go and stop. He eventually sold the rights to General Electric for $40,000. Later in life, he developed glaucoma, and by 1943, he was functionally blind. He had poor health the rest of his life, but continued to work on his inventions. One of his last was a self-extinguishing cigarette, which used a small plastic pellet filled with water placed just before the filter. He died July 27th, 1963, at the age of 86, and is buried at the Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland. Garrett Augustus Morgan Sr., the black man who invented the traffic light. Bet you didn't know that. Just saying. And I've seen that. You've seen that in old movies, haven't you? In like those old black and whites in the 20s and the 30s, where they have the signal thing that goes down. It says go, and then another one comes down and says stop. Better buy a brother. Just saying. 76842-KERN. Let's read a couple text messages. Get to the bottom.
Colbert ran everything through the show's lawyers.
And they told him not to run it. Have you not been listening to the show this Tuesday and Wednesday?
They also said that, why did Colbert run the on YouTube? Brandon Carr is lying.
What are you talking about? Brandon Carr and the FCC had nothing to do with this. This FCC never approached CBS. They never warned them. CBS, who had to pay $16 million for a horrendous 60 Minutes interview, is just gun shy, as most of them should be. Granted, it's an almost 100-year-old law, the equal time provision, but CBS approached him and simply said, we're not telling you to run the interview. We're simply saying, have Miss Crockett on. It's a what? 15-minute interview. How hard is that? But Colbert, being a smart guy, because I guess a great cutthroat world of television, and depended on numbers and likes and clicks and all this nonsense, I've done the same thing. It was brilliant. He's never had as many viewers since he announced that he was leaving. And it's the only way these guys get numbers. Jimmy Kimmel, his numbers were in the toilet. And then he had a little controversy, his numbers went out the roof. Now they're right back where they were. The late night shows are dead. That genre is over. It's got about 3 to 5 year shelf life. And it's over. It's just too expensive. Think about it. Look at one of those shows. They have a band. They have a co-host. They have an enormous amount of producers. They have people that book guests. Jimmy Kimmel has a staff of about 125 people. And they don't make money. They don't. Nobody's watching those things anymore on the weekdays. This ain't Johnny Carson, Jack. And all Colbert had to do was simply invite Jasmine Crockett on the show.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A new AP North poll finds views of the Democratic Party among rank-and-file Democrats have not bounced back.
Had part of I-5 shut down near the Fraser Mountain was diverted onto Highway 138. It was unclear seriously hurt. Death threats circulating on social media over the weekend had extra security at both Del Oro and Golden Valley High Schools this week as a precaution. The Kern High School District says they were made aware and contacted Bakersfield Police, and both are looking into it. No arrests announced yet. I'm in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. You know, the Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on now through March 31st at Sangera Subaru. And of course, spring is the best time to get an incredible offer on that new Subaru you've been wanting. Sport CVT. Lease one now for only $215 a month for 36 months and just $5,700 due at signing. And remember, every Subaru always comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And don't forget, offer ends March 31st. So stop by and see my good friends Damon Culbertson, Hassan Levy, and all the guys during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru for spring and hit the open road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersfield Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Through March 31st, 2026, lease a 2025 Forester Sport CVT for $219 a month on a 36-month lease. $0 due at lease signing plus tax and license. 7,500-mile year limit. 15 cents per mile overage. MSRP $40,814. VIN number SH617136. Monocode SFF-24.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, Monty Byram and Paul South and company will be here to talk about a gig they've got over at the Woolsworth. We will talk about Alta Sierra being open this weekend. That's very exciting. We will have news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Yeah, the music changes. I'm going to inundate you this weekend. Well, because I can't do it over the weekdays because I send you audio and I'm like, well, I don't want to send him all this because I have it on, I find it on my phone. So I'm just going to start sending you, like, for example, let's look on my phone right here. Like I'm going to start sending you stuff like this. God dang it. What did I do? What did I do? All right, here we go. I'm gonna start sending you stuff like this.
You got it. I know it. Right in here, too.
So you can edit all this out. Count Basie and Oscar Peterson. That's music, Jack. We're gonna change all the music. I'm just tired. Dude, I've been doing this 13 years, going on 14. And we've been using the same music for like the last decade. And I'm just tired of Lou and Johnny, and I'm just looking for some variety. And I've got some great variety. I've got the guy, I forget his name, it's like Augustus something, that does the original Charlie Brown theme song. That's what I was really looking for. Let me find that real quick. Because there's portions of that song that I bet y'all have never heard. See, I'm going to send this to. Wait for it. See? You ever heard that? Never heard this portion. Schroeder doesn't play this part. Isn't it Schroeder is the piano player? We're going to change the music radically. Just absolutely change it radically. You know, we have not discussed, I don't know if you've talked about it on your morning sports show, but Tony Clark,
Yeah, I know we
the
talked about
former
that today.
executive director of Major League Baseball Players Association.
They actually just voted in his replacement not too long ago.
Oh, who is it? Did they take the second
Bruce
guy?
Mayer.
Yeah, that's who they did. The second guy in charge, the second in command. Here's the story. This is another University of Michigan deal. Dude was sleeping with his sister-in-law, whom he hired back in 2023. He's been the first player. Tony Clark was a pretty good ball player, and he's the first player ever to lead the MLBPA, the Players Association. So that ain't never gonna happen again. And he's been there since 2013. He's had a pretty good gig and been a pretty good MLB PA leader, actually. But in 2023, he hired his brother's sister. They conducted an internal probe and found out that they were 10 toes up, 10 toes down. With your brother's wife? Dude, it doesn't get any more scummy than that. And not only that, but now the Eastern District of New York is examining the money because they're saying there's some discrepancies in the finances. And who do you think is the number one suspect? If you would take your brother's wife, you would steal. You ain't right. If you lie, you'll cheat. And if you'll cheat, you'll steal. And if you'll steal, you're no good. If I had a nickel every time my father looked me in the face and said that, I wouldn't be sitting here. If you lie, you'll cheat. If you'll cheat, you'll steal. And if you'll steal, you're no good. That's why I've been ingrained with the idea that lying and cheating and stealing is about the worst you can do in life. It really, really is. And it's the most invasive thing you can do. To take something that doesn't belong to you. I'll never forget, we got robbed once. My family got robbed once. And I just didn't even want to go into the house. Just the idea that somebody had been in our house and took our things just made me disgusted. And of course, as some of you know, this is the absolute worst time for Major League Baseball Players Association to go through a somewhat change of leadership. Like Chris said, this guy was second in command and did a lot of the negotiating for Tony Clark. But as some of you are aware, the collective bargaining agreement ends December 1st. And I guarantee you on December 2nd. What's going to happen on December 2nd, Chris?
A lockout?
Absolutely. Total lockout. Because particularly if the Dodgers win a third championship, because the crux of the argument is a salary cap. Baseball is the only sport that doesn't have a salary cap. And now that the Dodgers have put together one of the best teams in the history of the sport, everybody is beside themselves. You know, the Dodgers on their players. Meantime, an entire payroll of $70 million. And, you know, it's not as if the Dodgers are dominating this thing and others can't. Others won't. Others won't. And now, because of the Dodgers' approach, people want to come here. That's the bottom line. Edwin Diaz, the money that the Mets offered Edwin Diaz was almost equal to what the Dodgers gave him. He just wanted to come to LA. And why would you not want to come to LA? This whole who'd we sign our new left fielder, our new right fielder,
Kyle Tucker.
$60 million for a 270 hitter? Are you kidding? But hey, if you got it, you spend it. And this is going to be a long lockout because, you know, if you're making $730 million as Mr. Sosa is, or you're making 700 like Shohei is, the last thing in the world you want is a damn salary cap. And the owners aren't going to budge. This thing is going to go for a while. And so it's just really bad timing that their guy and this guy is done.
We had somebody present a question on our show this morning. Do you think that this lockout extends into that following
Oh,
season?
absolutely. Absolutely. If it gets into March, your season's screwed. You know, pitchers and catchers got to Glendale a couple of weeks ago. Camelback, is that what it's called? Something like that. And now the whole squad is there. I watched last night Dave Roberts' big speech about going after the third one. They're all in. In fact, did you see the video? I'd love to see Alex Vesia back out there. And they showed some video. He struck out Shohei Ohtani, and you would have thought he won Game 7 of the World Series. I'm like, calm down now, Alex. And then I was gonna play. I didn't play it. I have it on my phone. But he read a letter to Major League Baseball because I guess the league reached out to him. Then he thanked the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know if you guys remember. First, let me tell the story in case you don't know. I'm sorry. Alex Vesia had to leave the Dodgers just prior to the World Series. His wife was pregnant and they lost their child, their first child. I mean, is there anything worse than losing your first child? I mean, I know they're not degrees, but just that excitement of having your first baby and you lose it. And the Toronto Blue Jays, you remember Vesia's number? Doesn't matter. They wore his number on during the World Series. So he did a video thanking the Blue Jays for their love, thanking the Dodger organization, Major League Baseball. But it was good to see him back out there. And yeah, he struck out Shohei Ohtani. And you know how he gets. If you're a Dodger fan, you've seen him just going crazy. And he did that. It's like, dude, it's spring training. Don't show up. You're a superstar. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? But like I said, I'm so excited about this season. I said yesterday, it is the first time in the history of Ralph Bailey that I honestly, now obviously I think my feelings are going to change once we get in the heat of battle and we get around the All-Star game and playoffs are looming. My feelings will inevitably change. But right now, to be honest with you, I could not care less if we win the third one. I really didn't. I mean, of course, I want us to. I think we might. I think there's a really good chance, but we might. But that organization has provided me with bliss for the last 2 years and gave us what I consider to be, as I said yesterday, the greatest World Series. I've never seen a World Series where the other team could have won 5 or 6 times. 5 or 6 times they could have won. If Will Smith's foot just is like this instead of like that, 6 inches, they win the World Series. If that ball doesn't lodge in the wall, they win the World Series. If Kike or Paez, who made the catch, don't make the catch, because I think Kike was going to make it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I think Kike was going to make a Willie Mays, Dave Casper over-the-shoulder type catch, but instead Andy Paez comes over and drills him and makes the catch. They win the World Series. There are just so many moments of one. And then just the nature of the World Series itself. The fact that in Game 6, they got beat because they were too aggressive on the base paths. You cannot get doubled off in your attempt to win the championship, which they could have won in Game 6, right? Remember that? End of the ball game. I was at somebody's house and made a fool of myself jumping up and down in their living room. But little fly ball, got too big a lead. Kike makes the catch. Let's throw to Miggy. Miggy makes a great short hop catch. Ball. So what happens after they've been aggressive in Game 6? They come back to Game 7 and they run the bases conservatively. And on that play that I was just alluding to, where Miggy got a force at home plate and Will Smith's foot came up and then it came down just in time, literally a difference between maybe 3 inches. The guy at third had no lead. Now, why wouldn't a Major League Baseball player have a good lead at third base on a play like that? Because the night before, they had too big a lead and they got doubled off. And they were thinking about that. There's no question about that in my mind. I think most baseball fans realize that. The reason that guy was so close to third base was because what happened the night before. And the last thing he wanted was to replay last night and get doubled off in the whatever, I think it was the ninth inning. Wasn't that the ninth inning? Isn't that when we went into extra? Did we go into extra in Game 7?
6?
I think we went. We got him in the ninth.
Oh yeah,
I think Game
7
was we went 10 and won it with the double play. Because Miggy tied it in the ninth. Yeah, that's what it was. Miggy tied it in the ninth, and then Will Smith hit it the winning home run in the 10th, and then we got the double play in the 10th. But that just, they have given us so much joy. Like I said, my feelings will inevitably change, I'm sure, when we get competitive and we start winning and start dominating. But there's going to be a lockout, and it's going to be lengthy because you're thinking December. And if it gets to late February, if the lockout is still going on a year from now, the season's screwed. I mean, not the entire season, but they would have to do some shifting and changing because how long is spring training? They got there like last week, and
pitchers and catchers did, yeah.
And the season starts in like April.
Roughly, yeah.
So you need 2 months of spring training.
Actually, I think spring training starts here in about a week.
What are you talking about? Starts in a week?
Like, I'm sorry, spring ball, like actual.
It starts this weekend.
This weekend?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers have a game this weekend, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Like, I know it's sometime at the end of February.
Yeah. So if the lockout gets 2 months in, December 1st is the end of the contract. If it seeps into the new year, into January, February, and the players are still kicking it in their $1 million pads and haven't showed up in Arizona, you got a shortened season. You can't extend. You can't go into late November. You're in New York or Baltimore or back east playing baseball in mid-October, mid-November. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not with the kind of weather we've been having. So this is a horrible time for Tony Clark to decide to have an affair with his brother's sister or brother's wife. I just don't know. How do you do that? With all the women in the world, one of my buddies, I'm not going to say who, I'm not, but he one of my exes shortly after we broke up. And when I finally confronted him, that's what I said. Like, of all the women in Kern County, why would you select my ex? And we didn't speak for like a month. And then, unlike women, we got over it, hugged it out, and we're still really good friends to this day. But Tony, your brother's wife, hired her, brought her on staff, just like my man in Michigan, who was in court recently.
Yeah, they're apparently going to check into the validity of the charges. What I'm hearing.
Well, yeah, because they've got they're looking into when he went into her home,
right?
And he's going to go. He's going to do some time for that. There were text messages. There's overwhelming evidence. They're trying to get all that the text messages thrown out. What was his name? Who was the former head coach of Michigan?
Sharon Moore.
Sharon Moore. Poor guy. It just goes to show you, man, powerful people in powerful positions. In position. That's what he did. He did the same thing. He hired this assistant, promoted her, gave her a big fat raise, and they're doing the next. To think that these intelligent men really think they can pull this off.
That's what I said.
I
It's
mean,
like it's always somebody that's way too close to you that you know you're going to get busted.
well, that's because that's how powerful men have to work. They can't go to a bar. They can't, pick up people. It has to be somebody close. If you look at all the presidents that cheated, starting with Bill Clinton, it's always somebody close. That's why Dr. King, when he cheated on Coretta, it was parishioners. It was people close to him. It's always somebody close. The only exception is John Fitzgerald Kennedy, who would screw anybody, anywhere. It didn't matter.
Now, the only thing that I don't know if is the Clark thing is interesting to me because I don't know if it's his brother's wife because I've heard that it's actually his wife's sister.
No, it's his brother's wife.
The rumors of both. That's why I'm saying they haven't really. All they say is that it's his sister-in-law. They haven't necessarily named which one it is.
No, I heard they identified her, but they identified her brother. His brother is Greg Clark,
right?
And they said that it's
right. They're highly specifying
wife.
that it could be his wife or the wife of Tony Clark's sister.
Well, the reporting that I heard this morning was that
it was the brother's wife,
Greg Clark's wife. Either way, it's
it doesn't
just
matter.
Nasty. Of all the people in the world, but that again, like I said, that's how powerful men work. It's got to be somebody close to them where they can have a relationship and play it off as a friendship and do it right in front of your face, and you never know. It can't be a stranger because it's like, what are you doing with Charlotte? What are you doing with this redhead? As opposed to, this is my assistant. You know what I'm saying? It's always somebody close, whether it's an intern in the White House, whether it's somebody that you work with. It's always, for powerful men, it's always someone close. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap this thing up. Tomorrow is a Thursday. We're trying to reach out to the Sheriff's Department. They've got a situation going on Friday that we want to talk about. We'll try to get them on. But of course, Mr. Turnipseed will be on, Executive Director of Current Tax Association, along with our money man, Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. And of course, we'll have the latest on what is going on in Arizona with the Guthrie family and whatever else happens before 3:05. In the meantime, you're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we're streaming live at currentradio.com.
Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Trey Travis and
Whenever you're ready.
Did I do Tellurico yesterday? The Texas thing?
Give me a sec. You did the Tucson sheriff yesterday.
Okay, good. All right, here we go. You ready? 3, 2. See, this is why we have the equal time provision, because now that Stephen Colbert has taken this James Tellerico, Texas Democratic Senate candidate, and put the interview on YouTube, he's gotten almost 6 million views. In 24 hours, he's raised $2.5 million. He's down 9 points to Jasmine Crockett. And I'm telling you, I guarantee you, on March the 4th, the day after their primary, James Tellerico is going to beat Jasmine Crockett. That's horrible. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, it's a Thursday. Our money man, Daniel Petrie, will be here from S-Maker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, along, of course, with Michael Turnipseed, Executive Director of Current Tax. And me at 3. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3. God, that was horrible. Oh, well.
They accept most insurances, Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Be there Friday for one of the most special nights of the year as the Condors host Condors Fighting Cancer. The team wears specialty jerseys for an auction to benefit local pediatric cancer warriors. Fill out an I Fight For card at the game to show support. Plus, it's a $3 beer Friday. Condors Fighting Cancer Night is presented by Dignity Health, CBCC, Rodriguez & Associates, and Eyewitness News. Doors open at 6. The puck drops at 7. Fun starts at just $15 at condorstown.com or by calling 324-PUCK. This is Condorstown.
JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Maybelline wants to know, why is the sound not as good on YouTube? I go back and watch the show sometimes at night. Sounds okay. Oh, I've never had a problem with the audio. Have you guys had a problem with the audio? I think it's just you, Maybelline. Maybe you're having hearing problems. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's read a couple text messages. Let's read 2 text messages and get Sam Hill out of here.
Lisa has chimed in on your tuna situation. She likes to in her tuna salad.
Tomatoes?
I'll pass on tomatoes, but pickles, yes.
Yeah, I can do pickles. Although that's kind of a form of relish, isn't it?
Well, that is relish, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the pickles to do that I love, because I like a little crunchy. That's why I put the onions in. But chopped celery gives a little crunch. By the way, I wanted to ask you guys, I did some on the internet. What do you think of these shoes? What do you think of these? Sperry topsiders?
Nice.
As hell. They did not look like this on my phone. I can't stand them. There's no lace. And it's just, and it wasn't this like doo-doo color. I listen to my nephews too much. I got good looking feet too, by the way, for an ex-athlete. Just saying. Got good looking feet. Most men don't have good looking feet. I'm just saying. Just saying. I got good looking hands too. I've had several girlfriends tell me that. And I can tell you what else they said, but I can't go there. Want to thank Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, and of course Howard Marcus. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, Mike I did mention Mike Turnipseed and Daniel Petrie. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Severe wildfire conditions are on the rise.
A new study has found dry and windy weather that fuels extreme wildfires has nearly tripled worldwide in 45 years. The journal Science Advances shows that globally, big fire-prone days have nearly tripled from about 22 days a year in the 1980s to about 60 days a year lately. Researchers report the rise has sped up, especially in the Americas. Scientists say climate change drives more than half the increase. The study also tracks synchronous fire weather when many places face dangerous conditions at the same time. That overlap strains firefighters and worsens smoke and air quality. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Meanwhile, authorities say the bodies of 8 backcountry skiers have been found after an avalanche near Lake Tahoe in California. One skier remains missing. Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moon says the focus is now on the deceased.
But the snow and the unsure conditions are creating an issue to making sure that we can safely do that. We did have a conversation with the families of the folks that are still outstanding and let them know that our mission has went from a rescue to a recovery. It's a difficult conversation to have with loved ones.
6 others were rescued, 2